Chapter 2053. Luli was taken aback, and so was everyone else. Yin Kaiwe squinted his eyes. He gave Luli a knife-like stare, showing obvious hostility and a hint of killing intent. Nobody here knew this lady Yin Xingxi except for Yin Kaiwe. He knew better than anyone else how cold and aloof Yin Xingxi could be. He came to his banquet just for Luli. Out of instinct, Yin Kaiwe was jealous. Killing intent grew in his heart. He felt the treasure he wanted the most was about to be taken away by Luli. Luli squinted as well. He stared at Yin Xingxi. He thought about it. Could this Yin Xingxi be the blind? Otherwise, why would she come to the banquet for him when they had never met before? He stopped, cupped his fist to Yin Xingxi, and said, "Greetings, young lady Yin. I'm honored that you think so highly of me. What can I do for you, young lady Yin?" Luli generously revealed his surname. Many people already knew his surname anyway, so there was no point in hiding it. Yin Xingxi stood up and curtsied to him. Then she said, "Nothing important. I am just here because of your reputation." The god of slayers rose from the grassroots, and he made a name for himself at the second heaven. I admire him the most, and I want to make friends with him. Everyone was taken aback again. The number one genius on the list admired Luli. She wanted to make friends with him. A lady wanted to make friends with a man in public. Was she openly offering an olive branch? Yin Kaiue's eyes were spitting fire. Some young masters were jealous as well. Just now, when they talked to Yin Xingxi, she gave them the cold shoulder. Now, she was treating Luli like this. The gap between them was too big. Luli felt something was off. The young masters in the hall were hostile to him. Yin Kaiue, in particular, could barely contain his killing intent. Was Yin Xingxi here to make enemies for him on purpose? Was she setting up a group of people to target him, so that the semi-finals could be cruel to him? Luli turned to Yin Xingxi and said, "Young lady Yin, you said you admire me and came to make friends with me, but you have been wearing a veil. I don't think that is appropriate. Can you let me see your face?" Many people were delighted. Some young masters' eyes were glowing. Apart from Yin Kaiue, nobody else had seen Yin Xingxi's real face. They didn't expect that Luli would make such a request. It was a feast for their eyes. Before Yin Xingxi could say anything, Yin Kaiue took the initiative to speak. "Killer God, since Miss Yin has covered her face, she must have her reasons. Please don't make things difficult for her." "What's so difficult about that?" Luli retorted. "Shouldn't we treat each other with sincerity when making friends? I don't even know what Miss Yin looks like. I won't recognize her even if I meet her in the future. How can we be friends?" "Yes." Yin Xingxi waved her hand to stop Yin Kaiue from continuing. She nodded and said, "The god of slaughter is right. I was being rude." With that said, Yin Xingxi lifted her veil, revealing a stunning face. She stared at Luli and said with a smile, "God of death, are you happy now?" Many young masters were excited. This Yin Xingxi was so delicate. Her face was flawless. Before they saw her face, they didn't think she was outstanding. Now that they saw her face, together with her temperament, she gave off a sense of grace and elegance, purity and flawlessness. Her looks and temperament were even better than Lady Qiong's. All of a sudden, she became the center of attention. The entire hall seemed brighter. "No!" Luli's eyes dimmed down when he saw Yin Xingxi's eyes. He was absolutely sure that this Yin Xingxi was not the blind. No matter how heaven-defying the disguise technique was, it couldn't fool his instincts. His instinct told him that this lady and the blind were two different people. Their looks were different, their temperament was different, and their habitual movements were different. More importantly, there was a glint in the lady's eyes. There was a sense of playfulness and charm. This was definitely not the blind. What was more, if it were the blind, she would have shown some emotion when she looked into his eyes. She wouldn't be able to hide it, and there would be some clues. But this lady didn't. Instead, Luli saw curiosity in her eyes, which meant that she was not familiar with him. Yin Xingxi saw the sadness in Luli's eyes. She said, "I think the Azura is disappointed to see my face. Could it be that the killer god thinks that Xingxi's appearance is unbearable?" Luli squinted at Yin Xingxi. He thought about it and said no. "Lady Yin, You're so beautiful that no word can describe your beauty. It's just that. I thought you were an old friend of mine. It seems that I have mistaken you. I am sorry. Oh. Yin Qingxi's eyes glowed, and she looked extremely beautiful. A faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth, and she said, "It seems that the old friend of the godly slayer has a very high position in your heart, which is why you can't forget him." Luli smiled but didn't explain. He picked up a jug of wine and said, "Lady Yin, I have something to attend to. I will leave now. I will punish myself with a jug of wine as an apology." With that said, he raised his head and gulped down the wine. He cupped his fists and left. Many young masters were displeased by his behavior. Luli didn't mind. He was here mainly to see if Yin Qingxi was the blind. If she wasn't, then why should he waste his time here? Did it really matter what the young masters and young ladies thought of him? He and Yun Kaiwe were about to fight to the death. Most of the young masters and young ladies looked down on him or didn't want to be friends with him. What was the point of him staying here? Interesting. Lady Yin looked at Lu Li's departing back and murmured something. Her voice was low, but Yun Kaiwe could hear it. A glint of killing intent rose in Yun Kaiwe's eyes. But soon he put it away. He picked up his goblet and said, "Lady Yin, here's to you." "Thank you." "Young Master Yun, don't misunderstand me." Lady Yin didn't drink. She threw Yun Kaiwe a glance and said softly, "I have said that I am here for the Azura. Now that he has left, I will leave as well." With that said, Yin Qingxi stood up and covered her face. She walked out directly. Yin Qingxi's voice was not low. Everyone heard her. They looked over in surprise. They saw Yin Qingxi walking away, and Yun Kaiwe was still holding his goblet in embarrassment. Bang. When Yin Qingxi walked out, Yun Kaiwe saw many people staring at him. He flew into a rage and smashed his goblet on the ground. Crack! The wine glass shattered into pieces, and the crowd, which was originally noisy, suddenly became deathly silent. Looking at Yun Kaiwe, who was fuming with anger and killing intent, everyone felt it was hard to breathe. How could Yin Qingxi be so disrespectful? They were all young masters and young ladies from wealthy families. They valued their dignity. They would not turn against each other unless it was absolutely necessary. They would leave some leeway for each other. But Yin Qingxi didn't leave any leeway for Yun Kaiwe. She slapped Yun Kaiwe's face. On the other hand, her attitude toward Lu Li was like heaven and earth. No wonder Yun Kaiwe flew into a rage and could not suppress his anger. "I think this is enough. You can go back and have some rest." Chapter 2054. What happened at the banquet was soon spread out. Of the 100 people, there were bound to be a few with loose lips. The 100 people were the focus of attention. Yun Kaiwe's banquet was particularly attention-grabbing as well. The banquet ended not long after it began. Inevitably, some people were curious and suspicious. Almost all of the more than 10,000 participants stayed in the City of Chaos. Many of them knew they couldn't make it to the semifinals. They were here to broaden their knowledge and network. Naturally, nobody would leave before the semifinals ended. Therefore, the news caused a sensation as soon as it came out. The most obscure news was that the Veiled Lady was confirmed to be the #1 on the list, Yin Qingxi. Yin Qingxi was aiming for the Hellish God. The Hellish God didn't give her any face. He asked Yin Qingxi to remove her veil and left right away. In the end, Yin Qingxi didn't give Yun Kaiwe any face. She left without even drinking, which made Yun Kaiwe furious. The banquet ended on a sour note. The few pieces of news were sensational enough. One of them could make the City of Chaos bustling for a long time. Now that the news came out at the same time, it was even more sensational. Many people were discussing and guessing why Yin Qingxi valued the Hellish God so much. According to the list, Lu Li was only in the 30s. Yin Qingxi was much more powerful than him. What was more, Lu Li clearly didn't have a big force behind him. On the other hand, if Yin Qingxi wasn't a disciple of a big force or family, why would the Saint Origin Palace let her go to the Tower of Origin? They were not equal in strength and status. Why would Yin Qingxi treat Lu Li differently? She didn't even like Yin Kai-yue and didn't give him any face. Why would she favor Lu Li? The semifinals will be exciting. If Yin Kai-yue encounters the hellish god, he will be in trouble. Yin Kai-yue will try his best to kill the hellish god. He is a rival in love. It's not only Yin Kai-yue. Many young masters are thinking about killing the hellish god. Patriarchs of the Fu family and the Black Flame Hall are taking actions. They have asked many talented disciples to take actions. The hellish god will kill them all. This hellish god was not that strong in the preliminary round. I think he will die in the semifinals. It will be hard for him to stay alive. Once a person offends the public, he can be killed easily. If the hellish god has a big force behind him, for example, the hellish god can stand up and say that he is on her side, nobody will dare to touch him. It's a huge taboo for a commoner to challenge a group of major forces. Rumors began to spread. Lu Li was in the limelight all of a sudden. Everyone was looking forward to it. They were waiting for the semifinals to begin and for the shocking battles to begin. Lady, you received some information. She went to Lu Li and told him the information. Lu Li didn't comment. Could rumors kill? The Fu family and the Black Flame Hall would make some moves in the dark. This was within his expectations, and he was not surprised. This time, he had already thrown caution to the wind. He would treat all the battles as life and death battles, and if anyone revealed even the slightest bit of killing intent, he would absolutely not show mercy and kill his way through. The Axe Demon represented the great Demon King here. This was Chaos Island, and he couldn't use force here. If the elders of those families dared to make a move on Chaos Island, it would be a provocation to the great Demon King. Hence, as long as he killed his way through and successfully killed Yin Kai-yue, he would be able to return to Heavenly Devil Island. Once he returned to Heavenly Devil Island, he would be absolutely safe. No matter how many enemies he had, what did he have to fear? Time flew by. Lu Li had been cultivating in his room for 2 days. He consumed some more quintessence. It was time for the semifinals. Lady Yi came to call him. He went out, but the Axe Demon hadn't come yet. Gan Lin and Feng Yima were waiting outside. Feng Yima no longer looked down on Lu Li as he did before. After all, he had some reputation as the Hell Killer. That being said, Feng Yima was clearly jealous of Lu Li. He was neither warm nor cold to Lu Li. Lu Li didn't want to waste time with this kind of people. After he sat down, he asked Gan Lin, "Do we draw lots for the semifinals as well?" "Yes." Gan Lin nodded and said, 2 pairs will be formed. The winners will advance to the next round. The top 50 will be selected at one go. The top 50 will continue to compete, and the top 25 will be selected. The remaining 25 will compete with 5 others. The top 30 will be selected to enter the mystery land of primordial chaos. The top 25 will continue to compete until the top 5 and the champion will be selected. The top 5 can go to the purgatory of primordial chaos twice, and the champion can go to the purgatory of primordial chaos thrice. We have to choose the champion. Lu Li was surprised. He thought the top 30 would be enough. He was worried that he couldn't meet Yin Kai-yue. Now it seemed that as long as he kept on fighting, and as long as he and Yin Kai-yue were not eliminated, they would meet sooner or later. "Are you ready?" Axe Demon walked in. He glanced at the 4 and said, "This time, you are not required to make it to the top 5. If you can make it to the top 30, or one of you can make it to the top 10, that will be enough. If you can achieve a good result and make the Omen Island proud, I will report to the Demon King, and you will be rewarded handsomely." Yes. The 4 of them took the order. Axe Demon led the 4 out. They were also the center of attention, especially Lu Li. Yin Qingxi's actions had put him in the limelight. Lu Li ignored the stairs and followed Axe Demon to the center of the plaza. A tall platform was built here, and there were rows of seats on it. There were 30 elders guarding Chaotic Island, and they were all sitting on the platform. Axe Demon and the others had seats as well. Lu Li and the others stood around the plaza. The plaza was large and crowded with people. There must be at least 20 or 30,000 people here. Some of them were from the top 100 and more were here to watch. Let the semifinals begin. An hour later, an old man with white beard walked to the plaza. He said in a deep voice, "Those who have advanced to the top 100, please step forward." Lu Li and the others walked out and stood in a row. The old man said in a deep voice, "I think you know the rules. Later, you will draw lots and enter the small world in pairs. You can use all your skills. Nobody in the small world can peep at you. Similarly, if you admit defeat, you will be sent out automatically. The winners will continue, and the losers will be eliminated. In the semifinals, there will be no life or death involved. But I hope you will try not to take your opponent's life. Cultivation is not easy. You must cherish it." The 100 people took the order. The old man released some bubbles of divine energy and told the others to grab one bubble one by one. One person walked in front. When he broke the bubble, the number 1 came out. More and more people went up. Some also grabbed the number 1. The 2 who grabbed the same number would be their opponents in the first round. 17. Luli took a look at Yin Kaiwei. He grabbed the number 17. Luli prayed to himself that he could grab the number 17 as well. In this way, he would be able to fight against Yin Kaiwei, and the rest of the battles would not be important. Next to Luli, Feng Yima walked up and grabbed a bubble. Luli saw that it was number 17. Feng Yima was going to fight against Yin Kaiwei in the first round. Feng Yima looked awful. Confident as he was not so arrogant that he could beat Yin Kaiwei. Luli was a bit upset. He should have stood in front of Feng Yima. "I hope I won't fight against someone I know." It was Lu Li's turn. He walked up and grabbed a bubble. It was number 11. He breathed in relief. His first opponent was a goddess from a big force. He was not familiar with this person. As long as it was not someone he knew, he would be fine. Chapter 2055. After the lots were drawn, the 2 of them went to their respective teleportation formations. The island of Chaos had spent a fortune to build 50 small worlds just for the purpose of competitions. Luli was in the same group as that young lady. He remembered that she was from the Lin family, the goddess of the Phoenix Manor, one of the 36 forces. Luli remembered that this young lady came to Yun Kaiyue's banquet. She was aloof and didn't even give Luli a look. She was Lin Yu, a 3rd tribulation warrior, number 26 on the list. Luli was satisfied with his first opponent. If he had to fight Tang Ming Minjian or the young man in black from the Eastern Palace, he would have a headache. "Young Lady Lin, please." Inside the teleportation formation, Luli asked Lin Yu to go first in a gentlemanly manner. She stepped into the teleportation formation at once. Luli followed her in. He did not want to let Lin Yu set everything up in case he was attacked as soon as he stepped in. Buzzing with a glare, Luli appeared in a small world. This minor world wasn't particularly large, and they could see the barriers of the minor world as far as their eyes could see. It was as though they were inside a gigantic sphere, and the barriers were all covered with divine imprints. Based on their attacks alone, it should be impossible for them to break or destroy the minor world. Lady Lin observed the terrain as soon as she came in. Luli did not attack at once. He looked around as well. This small world should have a radius of only tens of thousands of miles. This was enough for the 2 of them. Buzzing, Lu Li's robe was torn apart, revealing his dragon wings. Those that could make it to the top 100 were powerful and had their own means. Luli did not want to be tricked. He had made up his mind that he would treat every match as a battle of life and death, and he would give it his all. At the same time, he began to release worms of the void secretly. He had tens of thousands of dark golden worms of the void. Now, he had more than 20,000 left. He could use them sparingly. He released over 1,000. On second thought, he asked Blood Fairy to go underground to see if she could build an apotheosis dojo. All the small worlds were the same. If he could build an apotheosis dojo, his chances of winning would be much higher. Still, Lady Lin showed no signs of taking action. She just observed Luli coldly. Luli would be happier that she did not do anything. If Blood Fairy could build the apotheosis dojo, it would be so easy to defeat Lady Lin. After a while, Blood Fairy said, "Master, there are many divine glyphs down there, but they're not easy to change. I will need time to set up the investiture of God's dojo, about the time it takes for 2 incense sticks to burn, and the area it can cover is only 1,000 miles. I see. Luli felt it was a pity. If they could cover the entire small world, then their chances of winning would be greatly increased. But it was always good to have it in place. Hell, killer, Lady Lin said. She stared at Luli and said, "How about we make a deal?" Huh? Luli didn't expect that Lin Yu wanted to negotiate with him instead of making a move. He asked, "Miss Lin, please speak. Give me a chance." Lin Yu went straight to the point. "In other words, if you admit defeat, I'll give you enough compensation. I'm the goddess of Phoenix Manor. If I can't enter the top 30, I might lose my position as the goddess when I return. I hope you can understand." "Is that so?" Luli sneered to himself. He put on a curious smile and asked, "What compensation can you give me? You know how precious the chance to enter the purgatory of primordial chaos is." "It is precious." Lin Yu nodded. Then she changed the topic. "But are you sure you can go in? This time, there are many powerful warriors and talented ones. Even if you can defeat me, you may not win the next one. Also, as far as I know, the Fu family and the Hall of Black Flames have bought over 7 or 8 warriors at high price. If you encounter them, you will die for sure." "Ha ha ha," Luli laughed. "Lady Lin, you're going off topic. Name your price. If you cannot satisfy me, then there is no need to talk." 5 million divine origin gold," Lady Lin said readily. "I owe you a favor. If you want to come to the Phoenix Manor, I will convince my father to give you a good position. What do you say?" Luli sneered. "That is too low. I will give you 5 million divine origin gold. How about you admit defeat? Also, I have offended 2 forces. The Phoenix Manor won't have the guts to take me in. As for your favor, it means nothing to me." Lady Lin pulled a long face. Her eyes flickered as she stared at Luli like a viper. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, she said with shame and indignation, "Must you be so heartless? Could it be that you want me to serve you once?" Luli was surprised. He was surprised. How could Lin Yu be willing to do that? She was willing to sacrifice herself to serve others in order to advance. Wasn't this a bit too much? After all, she was a goddess of one of the 36 forces. Luli squinted and said with ridicule, "Serve? Here? In the wild?" PFF, Lady Lin was so shy that she lowered her head. She said something so low that only a mosquito could hear. "If you can give in to me, after this, I will fulfill your wish." "Ha ha," Luli sneered. How could this Lady Lin give him such a good deal? Luli was not interested in a girl as beautiful as Lady Lin, not to mention whether he would fulfill his wish or not. More importantly, she was willing to sell her body for a chance to advance. Who knew how many times she had done that before? Luli wouldn't even be interested in a girl as dirty as her. He shook his head and said, "No, Miss Lin, I can't accept your conditions. Let's fight fair and square. If you can defeat me, you can naturally win. Don't go too far," Lady Lin said with grief and indignation. "We are in the wild. How can I accept it? Not here, not here." Luli rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, "Lady Lin, you think too much. First of all, I must advance. Second of all, none of your conditions are attractive to me, including your person. So, don't waste your time. If you want to advance, you have to defeat me." Lady Lin was so ashamed that she couldn't stand it anymore. She was filled with killing intent, and her eyes were on fire. A silver bow appeared in her hand. She pulled it open and shot an arrow. She shouted, "If so, then go to hell." Swish, the divine bow shone with rays of multicolored light. Following that, a fiery red arrow pierced through the air. The moment the arrow appeared, the entire small world felt scorching hot. A terrifying aura also emanated from the arrow. Secret treasure, Luli nodded to himself. It was understandable that a goddess had a secret treasure. He didn't panic at all. With a flap of his dragon wings, he stepped back quickly and dodged the arrow. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 2056. Within a pocket dimension, streams of fiery red light continuously shot out. Almost every breath of time, there would be a dozen streams of light shooting out, chasing after a single figure. That man had a pair of wings on his back, and he moved in a strange way. Every time he moved, the space around him would tremble, and he would fly to the distance like a ghost. Therefore, even though there were many streaks of light chasing after him, none of them could hit him. Boom, boom, boom. The streaks of light landed on nearby hills and underground, causing the hills to explode, the earth to crack, and the space around them to tremble. Fortunately, the small world and the walls around it were protected by powerful runes, or else the small world would have collapsed. He is so fast. After shooting out hundreds of arrows, Lin Yu's mouth twitched. She was a bit upset. Luli was so fast that she could not lock on to him, let alone attack him. Well, he doesn't dare to come closer. At least, he cannot attack me. Lin Yu was a bit relieved. It seemed that even if she could not win, she would not lose. She had treasures. Luli would not dare to come closer, or he would be shot to death. Luli smiled. He ordered the worms of the void. At the same time, he dashed toward Lin Yu, creating a false impression that he was going to attack her. Out of instinct, Lin Yu panicked when she saw Luli coming at her. She drew her bow and shot at Luli. However, Luli took a detour and went in another direction. Whoosh, whoosh, the ground under Lin Yu trembled. Then thousands of dark golden worms of the void flew out and snuck into Lin Yu's body. Lin Yu reacted quickly and noticed at once. Unfortunately, the worms of the void were too fast. Before she could react, the worms of the void had snuck into her body. Girls were most afraid of worms, not to mention the fact that so many of them were inside her body. She cried out in fear. She dashed away and slapped her hands as if trying to slap the worms away. She is not experienced enough. Luli shook his head. If he had taken action, he could have reached Lin Yu in an instant and killed her. But Luli wanted to take it slow and steady. After all, the goddesses had many treasures. He did not need to take risks when he was sure that he would win. With the worms of the void in her body, the battle was half won. If this person could not easily suppress the void worm, then there was basically no suspense in this battle. Luli was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he told the worms of void to bite Lin Yu. After the void worm moved, Lin Yu's expression changed drastically. Her face twisted, and she let out a series of miserable screams as her body tumbled in the air. However, this goddess wasn't an idiot. She somersaulted in the air, and a medicinal pill appeared in her hand. She swallowed it and quickly stopped screaming. However, her body was still trembling. It looked like she was in great pain. Hell-killing god, you're too vicious. You actually released such an evil creature. Are you even a man? Lin Yu showed her teeth and shouted angrily. Her eyes were filled with hatred. She stared at Luli and said, Luli, let the bugs out now, or I will never forgive you. We are competing. Luli was speechless. He shrugged his shoulders and said, We are not playing house. This is not a fight to the death. Since it is a fight to the death, we can use all kinds of means. For example, if you have any tricks up your sleeves, feel free to use them. If you can kill me, I have no complaints. Is that so? Lin Yu's tone grew colder. She said coldly, You have forced me to do this. Don't blame me if you die. Lin Yu took another pellet. Her chi and energy were growing stronger. She must have taken something like the energy surge pellet that could increase her abilities. This kind of pellet was not rare. It was understandable that Lin Yu, as a goddess, had some. Swish, he drew his bow again and again. At the same time, he flew over to Lu Li and closed the distance between him and Lu Li. Lu Li spread his wings, walked around in the small world using the happy steps. With a trace of Tao, he could sense the direction of Lin Yu's attacks and her trajectory at all times. Therefore, even though Lin Yu's speed had increased and her arrows were more powerful, she couldn't do much harm to Lu Li other than smashing the hills and cracking the ground. Hell-killing god, you are a powerful warrior at the second heaven. Do you only know how to hide? What is the difference between you and a dog? Can't you fight like a man? Hell-killing god, you made a mess at the storm area. Is this how you run? You are a man. Don't you feel ashamed? Don't make a weak girl like me look down on you. Hell-killing god, stop right there. You are not a man if you keep running. Lin Yu kept shouting, insulting and provoking. But how many battles had Luli been through? Verbal attacks had no effect on him. He knew very well that there was a time limit for Lin Yu's pellets. When the time was up, Lin Yu would be weakened. By then, it would be too easy for him to defeat her. There was one more thing. Luli was stalling on purpose because he didn't want to win too early. Why? Luli was pretending to be weak on purpose so that people would look down on him. Lin Yu wasn't very strong, but Luli had to spend a long time to defeat her. This would give people the impression that Luli wasn't particularly strong. This idea would be buried in people's hearts, and inevitably, they would underestimate him. When powerful warriors fought, underestimating the enemy was a taboo. It could lead to eternal damnation. What was more, Lin Yu's continuous attacks could make it easier for Luli to practice his dragon wings, happy steps, and the trace of Tao. During this time, he had been running and dodging. His body movements were more graceful and unpredictable, and his reactions were faster as well. The time for 1 incense stick to burn, 2 incense sticks to burn, an hour. Lin Yu took the pellets. She knew very well that the pellets had a time limit, but she could not stop. She had to keep on attacking. As time went on, she became more and more desperate. The worms of the void inside her were restless again. The effect of the pellets that could enhance her abilities was about to wear off. She had been chasing after Luli for an hour, but she couldn't inflict any harm on him. Lin Yu knew that she was no match for Luli. After several more shots, she made up her mind and stopped. She looked at Luli with hidden bitterness and almost cried. Hell-killing God, what do you want? What do you want Lin Yu to do to give me a chance? I really want to win this fight. Take off your clothes first, okay? Luli casually replied. He was still circling around Lin Yu, trying to use the dragon wings and the footsteps of pleasure. Lin Yu's eyes glowed. She bit her teeth and said, Are you sure that if I stay here with you, you will admit defeat? I'm not sure. Luli smiled and said, Don't you like to take off your clothes? Take them off first, and then we can talk. Go to hell. Lin Yu knew that Luli was flirting with her. She was burning with anger. However, the effect of her pellets had worn off. She was getting weaker and weaker. She couldn't even pull her bow. You are so cruel. Lin Yu sighed in despair and said, Let out your worms. I have lost. I will admit defeat later. Luli controlled his worms to fly out. Lin Yu glared at him and said, Hell-killing God, you better not fall into my hands. Otherwise, you will fight me in the wild? Luli interrupted with a sneer. Lin Yu trembled and almost spat out blood. She made up her mind and shouted, I admit defeat. Buzzing. Chapter 2057. Not long after Lin Yu was teleported out, Luli was teleported out as well. The white-haired old man announced that Luli had won and entered the top 50. Congratulations, Luli. Lady Ian Gonlin had come out a long time ago. They hurried over. Feng Yima came out as well, but he didn't come over to congratulate Luli. Instead, he looked upset. You won as well? Luli asked Lady E and Gonlin when he saw the joy on their faces. After they confirmed it, Luli cupped his fists and said, Congratulations to you two. We were just lucky. Lady E tilted her head to Feng Yima and said, When Feng Yima encountered someone like Yin Kaiwe, he admitted defeat in the time for half an incense stick to burn. Yin Kaiwe was too powerful. Yeah, I was lucky as well. Gonlin exclaimed, There are so many geniuses and geniuses here. I don't think it will be easy for us to make it to the top 30. We will have to do our best and leave it to fate. Luli nodded. He looked around. Almost all of the 50 teams had come out except for one team. Luli and Gonlin began to ask about the order of the teams, the time it took for the fight to end, and the difference in fighting abilities between the two could be calculated. Yin Kaiwe was a good example. Feng Yima was a powerful warrior, but he admitted defeat in the time for half an incense stick to burn. It could be inferred that Yin Kaiwe must be very powerful. Lady E. Luli thought about it and asked Lady E to ask Feng Yima about Yin Kaiwe's killing move. In this way, they could be prepared. Lady E sent a message to Feng Yima. The latter was nice to Lady E, so he told her in detail. Of course, there were some exaggerations in his words. For example, He was careless and underestimated Yun Kaiwe. Luli, Yun Kaiwe is very powerful. Lady Yi said. Feng Yima didn't force him to use his unique skill when they fought. He only made dozens of moves. From beginning to end, he only released one killing move. Like a storm, Feng Yima was exhausted. In the end, he was stabbed in the chest. Feng Yima surrendered. One killing move from beginning to end? Luli frowned. Yun Kaiwe must have some powerful killing move or treasures. Feng Yima was at the middle stage of 3 trials, and yet he couldn't force him to use them. Yun Kaiwe must be powerful. Right, Luli? Gan Lin thought of something and said, that youth from the Eastern Devil Palace killed another person, and it was the goddess of a great hidden clan. I hope we don't have to face him. This person is a killing maniac. Luli was shocked. Had the people of the Eastern Devil Palace lost their minds? Not only did he kill the divine son of the Chongyang Palace, but he also killed the goddess of a hidden clan. As soon as he came into being, he immediately offended 2 great powers. How was the Eastern Devil Palace destroyed all those years ago? It was all because they had incurred the wrath of the masses. Now, the disciples of the Eastern Devil Palace had just come out, but they had already killed a divine son and a divine daughter. This was equivalent to completely offending 2 major forces. If this youth from the Eastern Devil Palace continued to kill his way through, wouldn't he offend all of the major forces of the second heaven? At that time, if they incurred the wrath of the masses again, wouldn't the Eastern Devil Palace, which had just recovered some of its strength, be afraid of being destroyed again? Luli could not figure it out. He looked over to the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace. He was sitting on the ground with his legs crossed, emitting a cold chi and energy. He had completely ignored everyone's stares. It was a lively scene. People were discussing. However, most of the discussions were focused on Yun Kaiwe, the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace, Yin Qingxi, and the top few on the list. Luli listened carefully and found that all the discussions were negative. For example, he had exaggerated. He had to fight Lin Yu for such a long time. His real abilities must have been exaggerated. He must have had powerful warriors helping him to escape the pursuit of the 2 forces at the Storm Sea area. They were full of praise and admiration for Yin Qingxi, Yin Kaiwe, Tang Ning, and the others. They were all guessing who would be the champion in the end. Yin Kaiwe and Yin Qingxi were very popular, and so were the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace. Someone was also discussing who would win if the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace and Yin Kaiwe fought in the next round. If the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace won, would he kill Yin Kaiwe as well? Lady Cheong had advanced, but young Master Qin had been eliminated. He was unlucky to have encountered Tang Ning, the 3rd on the list. The disparity in abilities was too great. There was no hope for him to win. Buzzing, the last pair of warriors came out. One of them was covered in blood. His head was down. Clearly, he had lost. The white-haired old man announced the result of the contest. With that said, he took out a name list and read it out. He officially announced the top 50. The eliminated ones left. The top 50 stood at the center of the plaza. The white-haired old man asked if the 50 needed any rest. If so, they could compete again tomorrow. If not, they could continue to compete to determine the top 25. The 50 said they did not need any rest. For them, a fight would not consume too much divine energy and energy. Some of them were injured, but they had recovered after taking healing pellets and resting for a while. Since no one had any objections, the white-haired old man announced the continuation of the contest. Lots were drawn as well. Many divine energy bubbles flew out and floated in front of everyone. Yin Kaiwe, I must fight Yin Kaiwe. Don't fight someone I know. Luli prayed to himself. He grabbed a divine energy bubble and crushed it. The number 11 appeared in front of him. He looked over and soon found his opponent. He put on a bitter smile. He didn't fight Yin Kaiwe, Lady Gonlini, and Lady Cheong. Instead, his opponent was Lady Ming Yun, the 5th on the list. She must have something special to be ranked 5th on the list. Also, she came out after the time for 1 incense stick to burn. Her opponent was a heaven god of 3 trials. It was not hard to imagine how strong she was. Eh, Lady E is fighting Yinqingxi. Lady Qiong is fighting Yun Kaiwei. Ganlini is the only one who is luckier. Lu Li glanced to the others. His smile was even more bitter. He still could not see through Lady Yi's abilities. But there must be a gap between her and Yinqingxi. She would be eliminated. If Lady Qiong were to fight Yun Kaiwei, she would be eliminated in an instant as well. Young Master Tang Ning is fighting the one for the Eastern Devil Palace. Someone shouted. Luli took a look and was surprised. The third on the list was fighting against a murderous demon from the Eastern Devil Palace. This fight would be fierce. But would it be Tang Ning or the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace? If Tang Ning lost, would he be killed? Let's not worry about the others. Luli looked away. Dream Clouds was different from the other young ladies. She must have rich fighting experience. If he lost, he would not have the chance to fight against Yun Kaiwei. I must win. Luli clenched his fists. He could not defeat the fifth on the list. Then Yun Kaiwei, who was the second on the list, would be the only way out for him. If he could not kill Yun Kaiwei, he would not be able to go back to the Omen Island. What awaited him would be the endless pursuit from the Fu family and the Hall of Black Flames. Let the fight begin. Two to a team. Pick a small world at will and go in. The white-haired old man said. Luli and Dream Clouds looked at each other. Luli walked toward the teleportation formation of the small world. Dream Clouds followed him. In this small world, Blood Fairy had already set up the Apotheosis Dojo. It could be activated as soon as Luli went in, which would increase his chances of winning. Chapter 2058. After this fight, the 25 places to enter the mystery realm of primordial chaos would be decided. The other 5 places would be chosen from the 25 eliminated ones. The 30 places could all enter the mystery realm of primordial chaos to cultivate for a year. The mystery realm of primordial chaos was a land of treasures at the second heaven. A year in the mystery realm of primordial chaos could be compared to decades of cultivation in the outside world, or even hundreds of years in the outside world. In the mystery realm of primordial chaos was the supreme steel. The steel was filled with traces of great Tao. Learning something from the steel could benefit one for a lifetime. There were many famous powerful warriors at the second heaven. More than half of them had entered the mystery realm of primordial chaos and gained something from it. Therefore, those that could enter the mystery realm of primordial chaos were likely to become powerful warriors at the peak of the second heaven. They could dominate an area and look down on others. Those that could enter the mystery realm of primordial chaos will be the focus of the over 10,000 people outside. Sooner or later, they would become powerful warriors and masters of the second heaven. Only by befriending them now could they gain more benefits in the future. Buzzing in the small world, Luli and Dream Clouds entered one after another. As soon as Luli came in, he released his dragon wings and dashed into the area where Blood Fairy built the Apotheosis Dojo. Dream Clouds did not move after she came in. She took out a sword and unsheathed it. Though she was a pretty girl, she had the masculinity of a man. She was valiant and heroic. Nobody dared to belittle her. After the time for a dozen breaths, she said, Hell Killer, are you ready? Yes, I'm going to attack now. Yes, Lady Dream Clouds, please. Luli took out the 7-star saber and let out over 10,000 worms of the void. Luli must give his all in this fight, or he might lose. If this person was bribed by the Fu family and the Hall of Black Flames, then Luli might be killed. Whoosh, Dream Clouds floated over like a cloud. Her body gave off a feeling that she could not be grasped. It was as if her body could float in all directions at any moment. She was like a gust of wind, and no one could figure out her flying trajectory and direction. Advanced wind-related fundamental meaning. Luli put up his guard. At the same time, he stepped back quickly. He ordered Blood Fairy, activate the apotheosized dojo. Blood Fairy snuck into the ground from under Luli's feet. Then, the runes on the ground glowed. A strange force spread out in an area with a radius of 300 miles. Luli and Dream Cloud's divine energy was confined. Dream Clouds was stunned. Her body suddenly fell for a distance before she stabilized herself and floated down. A hint of surprise appeared in her eyes, and she asked, "God of Slaughter, what secret technique is this? It can actually seal divine power? Small tricks, not worth mentioning." Then, he ordered the worms of the void to attack. Even though Dream Cloud's divine energy was sealed, Luli could not afford to be careless. He did not rush over and attack Dream Clouds recklessly. Dream Clouds sensed the ripples underground and moved quickly. However, because she did not have divine power, her speed slowed down. Void worms filled the air and surged into Dream Cloud's body. This Dream Clouds was indeed very different from Lin Yu just now. Even though her expression changed slightly, she did not panic too much. Instead, she closed her eyes at once. Her lips twitched, and her eyelashes trembled. Clearly, she was frightened, but she did not show it. Charge! Luli did not want to miss such a chance. Before Dream Clouds could react, he wanted to get close to her and defeat her. Otherwise, once she realized what was going on and left the apatheicized dojo, it would be troublesome to defeat her. Luli was only 300 miles away from her. He dashed over. Strange energy surged from the 720 acupoints in his body. He punched at Dream Cloud's left and right shoulders. He was strong now. He had consumed so much divine essence. He was confident that even if he could not wound her, he could at least injure her. What? When his fists were about to land on Dream Cloud's shoulders, he suddenly felt something was wrong. From the depth of his soul came a sense of fatal danger, and it was a strong feeling. Over the years, he had been walking the line between life and death. He had no hesitation. Instead of retreating, he took out his saber at once and released the Slayer's Ghost Cut. At the same time, he took out the seal of the Dust King and placed them in front of him. Buzzing, a red dagger appeared in Dream Cloud's hand. As soon as the dagger appeared, it glowed. A surge of horrifying might spread out from the dagger. Dream Cloud swung the dagger at Luli. Bang! With a muffled sound, the seal of the Dust King was smashed away. Luli had just retreated for more than 100 feet when he was enveloped by the glow. He felt he was hit by a strong force. His robe in front of his chest was torn apart, and he was smashed away. Whoosh! Luli jumped up and stepped back quickly. His eyes were filled with astonishment. He had no time to put away the seal of the Dust King. He stared at the beautiful red dagger in Dream Cloud's hand, surprised and confused. He was not surprised that Dream Clouds had a powerful artifact. It was understandable that a young lady from a major family, a powerful warrior ranked 5th on the list, would have a piece of artifact. What surprised him was the apatheicized dojo was activated. Just now, Dream Clouds fell from the sky. How could she use the artifact now? To use the artifact, divine energy must be poured in. The more powerful the artifact, the more divine energy would be needed. It was just like his relic iron. Every time he used it, he would be drained of divine energy. Dream Cloud's artifact was powerful. The divine energy she needed must be vast. How could Dream Clouds use the artifact when her divine energy was sealed away? Her divine energy is not sealed away. This was the conclusion Luli came to. He secretly admired Dream Cloud's acting skills. When Dream Clouds fell and was invaded by the dark gold worm of the void, her mouth twitched and her eyelashes trembled. She looked like she was terrified. However, this was all an act. She just wanted to trick Luli into getting close. Luckily, I reacted fast. Luli took a top-level healing pellet after he retreated for thousands of miles. If he had not reacted fast enough, he would have been cut in half at the waist. He would not be able to survive that no matter how strong his body was. What was more, he didn't step back at once. Instead, he released the Slayer's Ghost Cut to slow down Dream Clouds. The seal of the Dust King also blocked some of the glow. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. The 5th on the list is really powerful. Luli squinted. Dream Clouds did not waste any time. She dashed over quickly. Once again, she became a gust of wind, unpredictable. She was as fast as light. There was no sign that her divine energy was sealed away. All the worms of the void are suppressed as well. Luli checked and realized that all the worms of the void were suppressed. None of them could move. He had to flap his wings and use the unfettered steps to run away. Hell killer, don't run away. Give up. You are no match for me. Dream clouds caught up with him. She was not as fast as Luli, but she was fast nonetheless. Her speed was comparable to that of a warrior at the later stage of the third tribulation. Most importantly, her figure was too graceful. No one knew where she would float to in the next second. This place only had a radius of 3,000 miles. Even though Luli was faster than dream clouds, it was difficult for him to keep a distance from her. Her eyes were as sharp as a blade, and the red dagger in her hand flickered as she spoke in a deep voice. Hell-killing God, I don't want to take your life. I'm afraid I won't be able to stop myself if I use my ultimate killing move, and you'll die at that time. I will ask you one last time. Do you admit defeat? If not, then die. Chapter 2059. Would Luli throw in the towel? He was not that kind of person. He would not throw in the towel just because of one sentence. He still had cards up his sleeve. He would not throw in the towel so easily. What was more, he did not believe that dream clouds could be faster than him. Could she get close to him? If she could not get close to him, what kind of move could kill him from thousands of miles away? While he was flying, he swung the Ghost King's cut backhandedly. A ray of sword light whooshed over. The Ghost King's cut was not powerful enough to hurt dream clouds, but it could slow her down a bit and tie her down. Luli did not waste any time. This Lady Dream Clouds was different from Lady Linyu. She had rich fighting experience. Just now, Luli fell into her trap. Her ability to react on the spot was unimaginable. Hence, no matter how much he said, it was meaningless. He could only fight with his full strength and defeat, or even kill dream clouds. Only then could he truly win the tournament. I will have to use Relic Iron. Luli thought to himself. Without Relic Iron, his other attacks would be ineffective on dream clouds. Unless he could hit her with his fist. The thing was, Dream Cloud's sword was powerful. He would be stabbed by the dagger before he could punch her. The dagger was not as good as Relic Iron, but it was definitely better than the seal of the Dust King. Just now, Luli was only hit by a small amount of light, and he was already injured. If he was stabbed by the dagger, he would have lost his life. Luli decided to use Relic Iron, but he needed a chance to do so. He could not just rush up and use it to kill his enemy. This young lady, who was ranked 5th on the list, must have many skills. Her body movement alone was impressive. Since you are so stubborn, then I will have to use my move. Don't blame me if you die. Dream Cloud shouted. She began to generate clones. 1 became 2, then 4. In the end, she was surrounded by clones. There were over 1,000 of them. Clones. Luli frowned. Through the trace of Tao, he could easily tell the difference between clones and the real body. The real body was emitting heat while the clones were cold. There were only a few breaths of air. Clones! Dream Cloud shouted, and more than 1,000 clones flew in all directions without any pattern. They flew about wantonly, and the entire small world was filled with people. It was a dazzling sight, and they felt as if there were people everywhere. What's the point? Luli curled his lips. Did she want to scare him with so many clones? These clones didn't have any attack power, right? As soon as Luli thought of this, he realized that he was wrong. All the clones collapsed and turned into streaks of red light, like the glow on the red dagger. The red light came at Luli from all directions. In an instant, he felt he was being attacked from all directions. There was no blind spot. This divine ability, it was the first time that Luli had seen such a powerful move. He was surrounded by killing intent from all sides, in the sky and on the ground. There was nowhere for him to run or hide. He spread his dragon wings and took a small step with the carefree steps. He didn't believe that with his dragon wings, the carefree steps, and the scar of the great path, he couldn't avoid these red lights. How could he be torn apart by several streaks of red light? He dashed to the left and twisted his body in midair. He moved quickly and managed to dodge 3 streaks of red light. But soon, he was hit by a streak of red light, and it went into his left chest. Hiss! The red light went into Lu Li's body, and there was a hole in his chest. He gasped. This move was too powerful. Anyone in the streaks of blood could break his defense. He had thought that his defense could withstand the attacks of a warrior who had gone through 3 trials. He didn't expect that it would be broken so easily. My physical body is not strong enough. Enduring the pain, Lu Li moved quickly. He didn't stop at all. He dodged to the left and right and moved forward quickly. He was hit by the red light constantly, but he didn't stop. He kept on running. Bang, bang, bang. By the time he dodged all the red light, he was already covered with holes. He had been hit by at least dozens of red light. He was covered in blood. It was a miserable sight. Dream Clouds didn't move. She saw that Lu Li had dodged her move. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. The strength of Lu Li's defense, the elegance of his body, and the strangeness of his footwork all shocked her. This footwork, how come it is so similar to the happy steps? Dream Clouds murmured. This time, the Palace of Life didn't send anyone here. Was Lu Li related to the Palace of Life? But the happy steps was a unique skill of the Li family. Usually, people wouldn't teach it to outsiders. This Hell Killer was a disciple of the Li family? But why was he at the Omen Island? Hoi, even though Lu Li had dodged her move, he was injured. It didn't seem to be a light wound. His speed was slowed down. Naturally, Dream Clouds wouldn't let go of such a chance. She moved like the wind and chased after Lu Li. Lady Dream Clouds, can't you give me some time to heal? Lu Li flew away quickly. He took 2 healing pellets and turned around and said. Dream Clouds put on a mocking smile, but didn't say anything. 2 people were fighting and 1 was injured. How could the other give him time to heal? Was this Hell Killer out of her mind? What was the point of her hurting Lu Li if she didn't want him to die while he was down? Cloning cut. After a while, she realized that Lu Li was still fast. It was still hard for her to catch up. She released the cloning cut again. Her body turned into thousands, and then thousands of red blurs shot toward Lu Li. When she released the cloning cut just now, she didn't move. This time, she dashed toward Lu Li along with the red blurs. She planned to defeat Lu Li completely this time. If Lu Li didn't know what was good for him and didn't admit defeat, she wouldn't mind destroying him. Oh no! Looking at the red lines coming at him from all sides, Lu Li murmured in a low voice. Dream Clouds could vaguely hear him. She moved closer and shouted, Hell Killer, it is not too late to admit defeat now. Don't blame me if you die later. Dream Clouds' words were cold and emotionless. Clearly, she was different from the average young ladies. She must have been on the battlefield often, and many had died in her hands. I admit defeat. Lu Li's expressions changed. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He tried his best to move away to avoid the red lines. He said 2 words, but didn't say the third. It seemed that he was unwilling to admit defeat and wanted to try harder. You are so stubborn. Then I will not show you mercy. Dream Clouds moved closer quickly. The red dagger in her hand glowed. She was ready to cut off Lu Li's legs. If Lu Li didn't give up, she would destroy his elixir and turn him into a useless man. When he saw Dream Clouds swiftly approaching him, a hint of fear appeared in Lu Li's eyes, and his expression changed even more frequently. After he tried his best to dodge several red blurs, Dream Clouds had arrived. Without any hesitation, she cut at Lu Li's legs with her dagger. Bang! With a muffled sound, blood spilled out. One of Lu Li's legs was almost cut off by Dream Clouds. Even the bones inside were cracked. Now, Chapter 2060. Lu Li had been waiting for a chance. Dream Clouds was too strong. If he didn't use some special means, he couldn't defeat her. His only chance was to use the relic to defeat or kill Dream Clouds. Dream Clouds' movement technique was very strange, and her short sword was a very powerful secret treasure. If Lu Li were to attack recklessly, he might end up with a lose-lose situation. He might not even be able to hurt her, and instead, he would be hurt in advance. He had to pretend to be weak and lure her with his body. Actually, if Dream Clouds wanted to cut his leg, he could have dodged it. However, he did not dodge. Instead, he allowed Dream Clouds to strike him. His physical body did not disappoint him. He had refined a lot of divine quintessence, and his bones had already turned dark yellow. They were too sturdy, and Dreamcloud's secret treasure could not break them in one hit. This gave him a chance. Dreamcloud was surprised as well. She thought she could cut Lu Li's leg easily with this secret artifact. She didn't expect Lu Li's bones to be so strong. Her mind was slightly shocked, but this shock was enough to consign her to eternal damnation. Lu Li took out the relic iron at once and poured divine energy into it. The relic iron emitted a mighty energy and smashed at her left shoulder with a dark glare. Dreamcloud chose to cut Lu Li's leg, but she didn't kill him. Lu Li returned the favor and didn't hit her head. Otherwise, Dreamcloud's head would be smashed like a watermelon. Dreamcloud sensed a fatal danger. She also felt the power of the relic. She was even more frightened. She stared at the relic and murmured, This is crack. The primordial spirit armor on Dreamcloud's left shoulder was smashed into pieces. Then her left shoulder was smashed as well. She exploded into a mist of blood. The relic kept on smashing down and smashed half of Dreamcloud's body. PFF, Dreamcloud was smashed away. Blood gushed out from her mouth. The red lines around her disappeared as well. Without her control, the relic's move was broken. Lu Li put away the relic and took out some healing pellets. Then, he spread his wings and flew toward Dreamcloud. On his way, he put away the Dust King's seal. As soon as Dreamcloud landed, Lu Li flew down. His fist glowed in silver light. He was ready to deliver a fatal blow at any time. Don't admit defeat yet. Lu Li looked at Dreamcloud coldly and said in a low voice, If you admit defeat, I will kill you instantly. You will only be sent out as a corpse. What do you want to do? Half of Dreamcloud's body had been crushed, and her red short sword had fallen to the side. At that moment, she practically had no more combat power left, and even speaking was a little difficult for her. I will erase your memory of this battle. Lu Li responded coldly. You saw something you shouldn't have. If you don't erase it, I will have to kill you. I see. Dreamcloud understood now. She had been a little skeptical just now, but now she was absolutely certain. Lu Li must have been holding a holy weapon shard in his hand. He was afraid that the holy weapon shard would be exposed, so he erased his memory. Dreamcloud thought for a moment, then looked at Lu Li and said, I can erase this memory, but I hope you won't hurt my soul. All right. Lu Li nodded and said, You should know that if I were cruel, you would have died just now. So don't worry, I will only erase this part of your memory. All right. Dreamcloud nodded. Just now, when Lu Li patted her head, she would have been dead. She was free and easy. If Lu Li wanted to do something reckless, there was nothing she could do. She had to accept her fate. One of Lu Li's fists glowed. If Dreamcloud fought back, he would kill her right away. He put his other hand on Dreamcloud's forehead. He had learned a skill that could erase memories. As long as Dreamcloud did not fight back, it was easy to erase this part of her memory. Dreamcloud was smart. She did not fight back and let Lu Li erase her memory. Lu Li checked several times to make sure that this part of her memory was erased. Then, he flew the worm of the void out and stepped back slowly. He took some elixirs before he said to Dreamcloud, Lady Dreamcloud, you have lost. Admit defeat and teleport out. Dreamcloud was confused. She could not remember what happened. She only remembered that she was teleported here to fight with Lu Li. She checked herself with psychic power. Half of her body was smashed, and she was badly injured. She made up her mind and shouted, I admit defeat. Buzzing whoosh. Dreamcloud grabbed the dagger. Then, after a white glare, she was teleported out. Lu Li's robe was covered in blood. His wounds had not healed yet. He was not in a hurry to change his clothes. He stood there, waiting for the teleportation. Buzzing. After a moment, Lu Li was wrapped up in a white glare. He dashed out and appeared at the plaza. As soon as he came out, many people checked with psychic power. It was already crowded outside. The fight between Lu Li and Dreamcloud had attracted a lot of attention. Many people were waiting for Dream Clouds to defeat or kill Luli. However, it was Dream Clouds who lost, and in such a miserable way. Half of her body was smashed. Not long after she came out, she passed out. Luli, Lady E and Gon Lin came over. Axe Demon, on the spectator stand, looked at Luli with concern. Luli waved his hand and said, "I am okay. I can hold on." With that said, Luli sat on the ground and began to tend to his wounds. His face was pale. Many parts of his body were bleeding. He was covered in wounds. The Hell Killer can defeat Lady Dream Clouds? Isn't he going to be in the top 5 in the genius ranking this time? How can the Hell Killer be so powerful? I know that Lady Dream Clouds has a powerful artifact with her. That artifact is powerful. I didn't know that she was defeated by the Hell Killer. The fight is getting more and more interesting. She's already so miserable now. I think she will die later. Warriors from the Eastern Devil Palace are not out yet. I wonder if Tang Ning is alive or not. People were discussing. After a while, Luli used psychic power to check around. He noticed more than a dozen pairs of warriors had come out. There were still many more that hadn't come out. Lady E looked awful. She must have lost to Yinqingxi. Gon Lin was delighted. They must have won this fight. Clearly, Lady Qiong had lost. Yin Kaiwa was too powerful. After a while, a man was teleported out, which caught everyone's attention. It was the young man in black from the Eastern Devil Palace. He was the first to come out. What, Tang Ning won? Yes, the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace is the first to come out. Tang Ning must have won. Tang Ning is so powerful. I think only Yinqingxi and Yin Kaiwa can fight him. People were talking about him. Luli was surprised as well. He had thought that the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace would have a higher chance of winning. Bastard! How dare you kill our young master? Ah! An angry roar rang out, shocking everyone present. An old man flew over with tears streaming down his face. As he shouted, a ray of white glare appeared on the plaza. Then, a badly mutilated body appeared on the plaza. Young master! The old man rushed over, crying. He held the body in his arms. Some guardians of the city of chaos flew down from the stands to prevent the Tang family from attacking the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace. Chapter 2061. 3 people had died in this competition, all at the hands of the Eastern Demon Palace youth. The others didn't matter, but Tongning was 3rd on the genius ranking and the Tang family's next leader. Everyone in the Tang family had high hopes for Tongning. They all felt that in a few hundred years, Tongning would become a top cultivator of the second heaven. Every time Tongning went out, a few elders would follow her. This competition on Chaos Island was absolutely safe. The Tang family didn't think anyone would dare kill Tongning, so they only sent 1 elder. Chaos Island was absolutely safe, but they didn't think someone would dare kill Tongning in the competition. Tongning's death not only crushed the Tang family's prestige, but also made them lose a top genius. They would lose a super cultivator who could revitalize the family in the future. The second heaven was very chaotic. Battles often broke out. For example, the Great Demon King had fought with the other factions, but the 36 factions were very harmonious. They basically didn't have a falling out. Even if there was a grudge, they wouldn't kill the Divine Son so easily. Killing the Divine Son of the Tang family would destroy the Tang family's future hope and their foundation. This was turning against the Tang family. If the Tang family didn't fight back, they wouldn't be able to establish themselves in the second heaven. Because of Tongning's heaven-defying talent, Tongning's death was even more serious than the deaths of young Master Fu and young Master Yin. Therefore, everyone kept quiet out of fear, and countless people looked at each other. Was the Eastern Demon Palace going to become the enemy of the world again? After a few years of recuperation, the Eastern Demon Palace should have recovered some strength. The problem was that the Eastern Demon Palace youth had offended 3 major factions. His unscrupulous actions could easily cause the other major factions to unite against him. When a major factions joined forces, the Eastern Demon Palace might be destroyed again. The Eastern Demon Palace youth was expressionless. He sat where he was, completely ignoring the Tang family elder. After the elder of the Tang family cried a few times, he stared at the youth from the Eastern Demon Palace with a murderous look and said, "You are good. Your Eastern Demon Palace is good. Very good. My condolences, Elder Tang," said one of the experts guarding Chaos Island. This sentence was a warning to him not to mess around on Chaos Island and not to break the rules of Chaos Island. Oof. Elder Tang did not act recklessly. He carried Tongning's body and rushed into the teleportation formation. It was obvious that he wanted to bring Tongning's body back to the Tang family immediately. It was likely that the entire Tang family would take action. Xiao, the elder of Chongyang Palace, as well as the elder of another clan, secretly left. Their intentions could not have been more obvious. They were prepared to join forces with the Tang clan and discuss the matter of killing the youth of the Eastern Demon Palace, or even destroying the Eastern Demon Palace altogether. A huge battle was about to happen. This made the atmosphere in Primal Chaos City a bit more serious. On the other hand, the youth from the Eastern Devil Palace did not seem to care at all. He continued to meditate on the ground. Sigh. Even the cultivators from Chaos Island sighed slightly. However, the rules of Chaos Island were rules. The young man from Eastern Devil Palace had done everything within the rules, so they wouldn't say anything. As long as they didn't cause trouble on Chaos Island, they wouldn't care even if the world turned upside down once they left the island. Ruthless. Luli had always thought that he was one of the more powerful people. He had the guts to offend the Fu family and the Black Flame Hall. He hadn't expected to run into someone even more ruthless than him. Could it be that this person wanted to slaughter the righteous path? Was he going to kill his way to the peak stage of the second heaven until no one dared to be his enemy? The younger generation will surpass us in time. Even Axe Demon nodded slightly. Luli dared to walk the path that no one else dared to walk. He dared to do things that no one else dared to do. This person would either die prematurely or rise to the top. This person didn't leave any way out for himself. He would either go crazy or survive. The place was originally very lively, but now, not many people were discussing. Instead, they were all sending voice transmissions. The situation had become very strange. Originally, everyone was playing by the same rules. Now that someone had broken the rules, the game didn't feel fun anymore. That's right. The martial art competition on Chaos Island was actually just a game. The younger generation would compete, and the strongest 30 would enter the primal chaos mystic realm to cultivate. Now, someone was treating this game as a battle of life and death. He would kill anyone he saw. Even the sky was pierced. How could this be fun? Kiki. Luli sensed the atmosphere and revealed a faint smile. He murmured to himself, "If I kill Yin Kaiwe, this group of people will probably be scared silly, right?" Of course. Luli was even less confident now. Dream Clouds, who was ranked 5th on the list, was already so strong. How strong would Yin Kaiwe, who was ranked 2nd on the list, be? Yin Kaiwe was definitely the next Grandmaster of the Sheng Yuan Palace. He must have some treasures on him. Luli might die in the hands of Yin Kaiwe. Luli continued to heal himself. As time went on, more and more people were teleported out. The ranking of the list was basically accurate. Apart from Tangning and Dream Clouds, the top 10 had all made it to the next round. Okay. The powerful warrior guarding the Chaos Island took out the name list and read out. He confirmed the top 25 that had made it to the next round. He said in a deep voice, "These 25 people will be allowed to enter the primal chaos mystic realm to cultivate for a year. They can come back and redeem at any time within 100 years. The remaining 5 will be selected from those who have been eliminated. Many people are injured in this round. Go back and rest. The tournament will continue in 10 days. Let's go." Lady Yi and Gonlin came over and helped Luli back to his yard. The others dispersed, but they were moving in groups. Clearly, they were gathering to discuss today's fight. Back at her own yard, Lady Yi sent Luli back to his room and said, "I have been eliminated. I don't think I can make it to the top 30 in the later rounds. It is up to you now." Okay. Lady Yi was a girl after all. She was not very strong. She would have to admit defeat against Yin Kaiwe. Luli didn't count on Lady. He had promised Fairy Tian Yun, and for the sake of his own life, he would do his best. After a while, Axe Demon came back. He looked at Luli and made sure that he was fine. Then he nodded and said, Luli, you have proven your strength by defeating Dream Clouds. You don't have to risk your life in the later rounds. If you run into powerful warriors, just admit defeat. The Omen Island will not be humiliated this time. When we go back, I will ask the Demon King to reward you handsomely. Thank you, Lord Axe Demon. Luli smiled bitterly. Axe Demon didn't know about the agreement between him and Fairy Tian Yun. It was not that Luli wanted to risk his life, but he had no other choice. If he couldn't kill Yun Kaiwei, he would be too ashamed to go back to the Omen Island. Rest well, Axe Demon exhorted and turned to leave. Gonlin and Lady Yi left as well. Luli took out some divine due to cultivate divine energy and at the same time heal himself. The top 30, the top 15, the top 10, the top 5, the top 3, and the champion. Luli didn't care about the competition. He had a chance to enter the primal chaos mystic realm for a year. That was enough. Chapter 2062. Luli rested for 10 days and cultivated for 10 days. He consumed more of the divine essence, and his physical body continued to improve. But this improvement was not meaningful. If he could have a month or two to consume all the divine essence and turn his bones black, his physical body would be improved by leaps and bounds. During these 10 days, it was strangely quiet. The Tang family, the palace of Chongyang, and another family didn't do anything. Maybe they were afraid of the rules of the Chaos Island, so they didn't dare to do anything rash. However, there was a turbulent undercurrent in the dark. There were more scouts on Chaos Island, and there were also more scouts in the cities around Chaos Island. These scouts had all been found out by the great clans, and many people were well aware of which clan had sent them. Luli received a message secretly sent by Qin Zhan. It was said that the master of the Black Flame Hall and the Fu family patriarch had arrived, but they were in nearby islands and didn't come to the Chaos Island. Luli knew clearly that if he could not kill Yun Kaiwei, Fairy Tian Yun might send word to Axe Demon not to take him back to the Omen Island. Fairy Tian Yun was a man of her words. If Luli could not fulfill his promise, she would not let him go back to the Omen Island. Luli said it himself that if he could not kill Yun Kaiwei, he would be too ashamed to go back. He couldn't stay on the Chaos Island forever without going back to the Omen Island. He could stay in the mystery realm of primordial chaos for a year at most. After that, he would have to leave the Chaos Island. As soon as he left the Chaos Island, the powerful warriors of the Fu family and the Black Flame Hall would hunt him down. Therefore, Luli had only one way to go, to kill Yun Kaiwei and teleport back to the Omen Island with the Axe Demon. It was absolutely safe. I will not survive if I don't go crazy. Luli realized he was the same as the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace. He had to go crazy and try his best to kill Yun Kaiwei. This was the only way for him to survive. There are also people from the divinity. If he didn't die, maybe the Fu family and the Black Flame Hall wouldn't bother to deal with his family. But if he died, they would find a way to vent their anger. I must have a steady mind. Luli stopped cultivating on the last day. He closed his eyes and went to sleep without thinking about anything. He wanted to relax completely. This time, he slept very peacefully. He didn't even dream. His body's injuries had long since recovered, and his battle prowess had reached its peak. Luli woke up early the next morning. He walked out and asked Lady, "Are you going to fight today as well? We've already competed." Missy rolled her eyes speechlessly and said, "We competed 3 days ago. I was defeated by a reclusive monster from a large clan, so the rest is up to you and Gonlin. You've competed." Luli had been in closed-door cultivation. Apart from the fact that young Master Qin sent someone to find him, he knew nothing about the outside world. He smiled and comforted Missy. "It's okay. You're still young. You can come again next time." "There's no chance." Lady Yi rolled her eyes and said, "Next time, I will be over the age and I will not be able to compete. Luli, you must make me proud this time." Luli knew what Lady Yi was talking about. If he could not kill Yun Kaiwe, lady, you might not be able to go back to the Omen Island. He didn't say anything else. He sat in silence, adjusting his state of mind. Feng Yima walked out from his room. Looking at Lu Li and Gan Lin, he forced a smile and said, "You two are going to fight today. You must be steady this time. Do not underestimate your opponent. Last time, I suffered because I underestimated my opponent. If you can do your best, you can make it to the top 10, if not the top 5. As soon as Feng Yima finished his words, Lu Li and the other two glared at him coldly. Feng Yima was putting on airs before. Now, he was using the tone of educating a junior. Did he really think he was a capable senior? Gan Lin had always been a good-natured person, but it didn't mean that he didn't have a temper. He sneered and said, "Feng Yima, you are so experienced. How about you go to the arena of geniuses? None of us will go." Alas, Feng Yima didn't seem to sense the sarcasm in Gan Lin's words. He sighed and said, "I would like to go. Unfortunately, one wrong step brings everlasting sorrow. If I were given another chance, I would be able to make it to the top 5 and defeat all the others." Lu Li couldn't stand it anymore. He rolled his eyes and said, "Idiot." He couldn't stand it anymore. After all, he had killed Yin Kaiwe. When he got back to the Omen Island, he would be regarded as a hero. It didn't matter if he offended Feng Yima. If he lost, he would either die or not be able to go back to the Omen Island. So what if he offended Feng Yima? "What did you say?" This time, Feng Yima understood. He looked at Lu Li coldly and said, "Lu Li, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you have won a few rounds. If you are too arrogant, you will get beaten up." Slap! Lu Li slapped him back. He was so fast that Feng Yima didn't even have time to react. Also, Feng Yima didn't expect that Lu Li would make a move. Feng Yima was smashed away by a huge force, and he fell into the yard. Lu Li was worried that they were at the Chaos Island. Otherwise, Feng Yima's head would have been crushed if Lu Li had used all his strength. "How dare you!" Feng Yima crawled up and flew into a rage. He took out his weapon and was about to make a move. However, a surge of horrifying chi and energy pressed down on him. He couldn't move at all. Axe Demon walked out from the castle nearby. He looked at Feng Yima coldly and said, "Feng Yima, what are you doing? How dare you use force at the Chaos Island? Are you courting death?" Feng Yima was suppressed by Axe Demon and couldn't move at all. He put on an aggrieved expression and said, "Lord Axe Demon, I didn't do it. It was Lu Li who attacked me. Look at the palm print on my face. What is going on?" Axe Demon frowned. He looked at Lu Li and then Gan Lin. Lu Li and the other two walked out. Axe Demon cupped his fists and said, "Lord Axe Demon, I am sorry. I couldn't control myself." Gan Lin didn't say anything. He sent a message to Axe Demon secretly. He was the grandson of Axe Demon, and he was never one to make trouble. Axe Demon's eyes grew colder, and he said, "Feng Yima, from today on, you stay in your room. If you dare to leave, you don't have to go back to the Omen Island." Feng Yima's expressions changed. He tried to explain, "Lord Axe Demon, I am not trying to make trouble. It is Lu Li, shut up." Axe Demon released a strong pressure like an angry tiger. He said coldly, "If you say another word, you can get out of here and go wherever you want." "Yes." Feng Yima didn't dare to say another word. He walked back to his room obediently and didn't look at Lu Li or Lady Gonlini again. However, his eyes were filled with resentment and were as cold as a venomous snake. Lu Li, after Feng Yima went in, Axe Demon said to Lu Li, "Feng Yima's grandpa once fought with the Demon King and died in battle. The great Demon King felt guilty, so he took good care of his family's descendants. This time, give me some face and ignore him." "I will do as you say." Lu Li cupped his fists and said, "Well, I was wrong to make the first move. The fight is about to begin. I am happy that Gan Lin can make it to the top 30. Chapter 2063. The contest began again. Only 30 out of the more than 10,000 were left. None of the 30 were weak. Apart from Lu Li, all of them were 3 Tribulation Heaven immortals. They were either chosen ones of major forces or representatives of reclusive families. Among the 30 people, there were only 5 women. There were many women who could cultivate to a high level, but there were relatively few women who were strong in combat. After all, young ladies of major families would be particular. They wouldn't take part in life-and-death battles as often as men. Ladies like Lady Meng Yun were rare. If a warrior's realm was higher than others, he or she could overwhelm his or her opponent and make up for his or her lack of experience. But when the realms were similar, experience would be crucial. Therefore, there are not many powerful female warriors. Warriors like the Asmodean Lord were rare. Only one could be found in tens of thousands of years. It was easy to understand. For example, if a delicate young lady was insulted and her breasts were attacked, she would be angry. Once on the two sides lost his or her mind, he or she would reveal his or her flaws. Then, there would be more opportunities for the enemy to attack, and the possibility of death would be higher. For a warrior to become a powerful one, he or she must go through the baptism of blood and fire. Therefore, few females could become powerful warriors. The 30 stood in the plaza, surrounded by tens of thousands of people. Apart from Lu Li and the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace, the rest were friends of different families. It was understandable why nobody wanted to make friends with Lu Li and the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace. As far as many people were concerned, the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace was a dead man, and Lu Li was safe for now. If the Axe Demon took him back to the Omen Island through the portal, then he could live for a while. But Lu Li had incurred public anger. He would be killed sooner or later. Since both of them were going to die, and they had many enemies, nobody wanted to make friends with them. Lu Li, be careful of the 5 on the list I gave you. All of a sudden, Qin Zhan sent a message. Lu Li looked at the 5. They were all disciples of hidden families. Lu Li didn't know which families 2 of them were from. He only knew that they were disciples of hidden families. Draw lots, and we will pick out the top 15 from his contest. The old man guarding here said. Lu Li was curious. How were they going to continue after the top 15 were chosen? It was odd. Didn't one of them have to fight? Lu Li thought about it and sent a message to Gan Lin. Gan Lin explained, one of the top 15 won't have to fight. He can enter the top 8 directly. There is such a thing? Lu Li was taken aback. Wasn't this man extremely lucky? Gan Lin smiled and explained, luck is also a part of strength. Besides, the top 8 are all experts. If he doesn't have the strength, he can only stop at the top 8. That's true. Lu Li nodded. The top 15 was the same as the top 8. They could only enter the purgatory of primordial chaos for 1 year. It was just a nicer name, unless they could make it to the top 3 or the champion. The lot drawing began, and Lu Li began to pray again. Gan Lin was also praying that they wouldn't run into anyone too strong. Being able to enter the top 15 could be considered a form of fame. At the very least, Axe Demon's face was shining. Lu Li grabbed a divine bubble and crushed it. He took a look and saw that it was number 7. His gaze immediately turned to the people beside him. Very quickly, his eyes were filled with disappointment because he did not see Yun Kaiwei. However, he also did not see the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace or Yin Qingxi. Is that him? Lu Li's expressions grew solemn. He was facing a disciple of a hidden family. His surname was Long, and his name was Shirtian. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Long family was famous and dominated a large area of the ocean at the north. Later on, the Long family declined, and the family went into seclusion. They recuperated for tens of thousands of years. Only in the recent 1,000 years did disciples come out. But that was not important. What was important was that this person was on the name list given by Qin Zhan. It was said that this person was bribed by the Hall of Black Flames and the Fu family to kill Lu Li. Lu Li and this person looked at each other. Lu Li was sure of this as well. This person was looking at Lu Li with killing intent. A fight of life and death. Lu Li was not afraid. He just felt unlucky. Why hadn't he faced Yun Kaiwei yet? If he were to be eliminated this time, he would not have a chance to fight against Yun Kaiwei. Therefore, he had to win. Lu Li threw a glance to Gan Lin. This guy was so lucky that he was matched against a young lady. This young lady was a goddess with a high realm. She might be at the later stage of the third tribulation, but she was a girl after all. Gan Lin had a natural advantage. The lot drawing. Luli glanced over to the others and wondered if the drawing of lots was prearranged. Yin Kaiwei, In Qingxi, and the young man from the Eastern Palace didn't fight against each other. The three of them fought against the other three. For Luli, the three of them were the most powerful opponents. If two of them were matched against each other, then at least one of them would be eliminated. Then Luli would have one less powerful opponent. Of course, if Yin Kaiwei was eliminated, then Luli wouldn't have a chance to kill him. That was a good thing. Okay, you have been divided into groups. Let's go to the battlefields. The guardian of the island of chaos said. Then he added, the 30 of you are elites of the second heaven. You are the future hope of your races. So, if it is not necessary, please show mercy. Don't hurt your opponents. Cultivation is not easy. Show mercy. Even though the guardian had said so, the 30 people here didn't mind. If there were no grudges, they wouldn't kill for no reason. That would make enemies for their families. If there were grudges, people like Lu Li wouldn't show mercy. His opponents were trying to kill him. Let's go. Lu Li chose the original battleground. He had built the Apotheosis Dojo here. It was useless against Meng Yun, but what if it could help young Master Dragon? No way. That Long Shirtian said, I hope to change to another battleground. Go to a place that neither of us have been to before. This is fair for both sides. Lu Li raised his eyebrows. Long Shirtian was very careful. He shrugged and said, it doesn't matter. Whatever. Long Shirtian casually pointed at a teleportation formation and said, go here. I have never been to this place before. Swish. With that, Long Shirtian's body flashed, and he went in first. Lu Li was secretly on guard and followed him. When he was about to step into the teleportation formation, he heard a voice in his mind. Lu Li, this person wants to kill you. You have to be very, very careful. This was Axe Demon's voice. Lu Li turned around and looked at Axe Demon. He nodded slightly and entered the teleportation formation in a flash. Once he entered, Lu Li immediately released his dragon wings. Luckily, Long Shirtian didn't attack as soon as he entered. He stood where he was and waited for Lu Li to be ready. Lu Li landed a few hundred miles in front of Long Shirtian. He thought for a moment and shouted, young Master Dragon, right? What price did Black Flame Hall and Fu Clan give you to buy my life? Tell me. Long Shirtian didn't expect Lu Li to directly point this out. His eyes flickered and said, what did you say? I don't understand. There's no need to say such nonsense to disturb my Tao heart. It's meaningless. Death God of Hell, today I will defeat you and spread the might of my Long clan. Chapter 2064. Wait. As soon as Lu Li came in, he told Blood Fairy to go underground. He started the conversation to buy some time so that Blood Fairy could build the Apotheosis Dojo. Therefore, he shouted, young Master Dragon, can we talk? Like you conceding? I can give you some elixirs and divine origin gold. I concede? Young Master Dragon was taken aback. Then, he mocked. You think I'm a beggar? Do you think the Long family is in need of elixirs and divine origin gold? Then what do you want? Lu Li asked back. He was just buying time. He could talk however he wanted. Even if Long Shirtian wanted holy weapons, Lu Li could talk with him for a while. Young Master Long rolled his eyes and said in a deep voice, if you can give me 3 Xuanwu fruits, it's not impossible to negotiate. 3? Lu Li was intrigued. Young Master Dragon was interested. There must be some old farts in his family that were about to die. That was why he was willing to concede just to get the Xianwu fruits. As a matter of fact, there were 2 old farts in Long Shirtian's family that were about to die. If Lu Li could give him 2 Xianwu fruits, Long Shirtian would consider conceding. After all, he already had a chance to enter the purgatory of primordial chaos. It was unlikely that he could make it to the top 5. So what if he conceded if he could get the Xianwu fruits? As for what the Fu family and the Black Flame Hall offered, he could just return them. What could the Fu family and the Black Flame Hall do to him? 3 is too much. Luli thought for the time for half an incense stick to burn before he said, 1. I can give you one at most. I only have 2 left, and I need to keep 1 for myself. Huh. Your life is only worth 1 Xianwu fruit. Long Shirtian was filled with killing intent. He said coldly, 2. If it is too little, then forget it. Let's fight. Wait, don't be hasty. Luli pretended to be in deep thoughts again. He rolled his eyes, and his expressions changed. He seemed to be in a dilemma. Long Shirtian did not rush him. He was hopeful as well. If he could get 2 Xianwu fruits, then this trip would be a success. All right, master, it's done. After the time for 1 incense stick to burn, Blood Fairy sent a message. Lu Li's hesitation disappeared. He looked up at Long Shirtian and said, Young Master Long, after careful consideration, I have decided that I will not give you anything. If you do not admit defeat, you will be responsible for your own life. Huh? Young Master Dragon was stunned. How come Lu Li's attitude changed so much? Soon, his face turned red. Lu Li was messing with him. He flew into a rage. A half-moon halberd appeared in his hand, and he rushed towards Lu Li in rage. Kill! He dashed toward Lu Li like a mad dragon. Killing intent surged out from him. His eyes were bloodshot. Clearly, he was enraged. All right. Seeing that Long Shirtian was so violent and seemed to have lost his mind, Lu Li was overjoyed. He secretly prepared to end this battle as soon as possible. If the investiture God Dojo was of any use, he would give Long Shirtian a torrent of attacks, causing him to be utterly defeated and unable to make a comeback. Lu Li flapped his wings and pretended to step back. He stared at Long Shirtian. When Long Shirtian dashed into the investiture God Dojo, Lu Li ordered at once, Blood Fairy, activate the investiture God Dojo. Buzzing, a white glare shone from underground. Space trembled. A strange force spread out to an area with a radius of 300 miles. The investiture God Dojo was activated. In midair, Long Shirtian slowed down. He could not keep his balance. He twisted and turned in the air. His eyes were filled with panic. I don't think he is faking it. Charge! Lu Li had been using the trace of Tao to sense. He flapped his wings and dashed forward using the unfettered steps. In an instant, he reached Long Shirtian. He did not take out the divine iron. Instead, he smashed at Long Shirtian with his fists. Long Shirtian's divine energy was suppressed, which was why his flight was interrupted. Just now, his mind was filled with fear. He did not know why he could not use divine energy. In the time for half a breath, Lu Li had arrived. He swung the half-moon halberd and smashed at Lu Li's head. Even though he could not use divine energy, the half-moon halberd was a piece of artifact, and it was extremely sharp. Boom! Bam! The half-moon halberd smashed on Lu Li's head. It only made a dull sound. He did not suffer any damage. Long Shirtian himself was smashed into the ground by Lu Li. Lu Li did not send Long Shirtian far away, because the investiture God Dojo could only cover a radius of 300 miles. This two surprised voices rang out. Long Shirtian realized that Lu Li's head was not injured at all. What made Lu Li surprised was that Long Shirtian did not suffer any serious injuries. There was only some blood coming out from the corner of his mouth. His bones were not broken. He released the Spirit Explosion secret skill just now. The powerful energy exploded in Long Shirtian's body. He thought that even if he did not heavily injure Long Shirtian, he would at least break a few bones. Swish! He did not care too much. His body frantically rushed down and began to unleash a torrential barrage of attacks on Long Shirtian. He had already caught Long Shirtian unprepared. Naturally, he would not give him a chance to react. He would heavily injure him in one breath. Accidents happened one after another. Long Shirtian was stunned. Lu Li's speed was too fast. He did not even have time to react. Lu Li rushed down again. He instinctively waved his half-moon halberd and continuously hacked at Lu Li. In a situation where he could not use divine energy, the half-moon halberd was no different from a sharp weapon. He could not use the powerful power inside. It was just a divine weapon. How could it break Lu Li's defense? Boom, boom, boom. In just an instant, Long Shirtian was hit by Lu Li for dozens of times. This time he was injured. His skull was cracked a little, and some of his ribs were broken. The intense pain finally made him sober up a little. He knew he could not go on like this. He had to calm down. Otherwise, he would be killed by Lu Li. Roar, he suddenly roared to the sky. Following that, his body lit up in black light. Then his body suddenly expanded. A surge of ferocious chi and energy came from his body. Transformation, Lu Li moved and retreated for 50 miles. His eyes revealed a trace of shock. Long Shirtian did not transform. He changed back to his original form. He was not a human, but a demon. Long Shirtian's body disappeared. What replaced it was a huge black dragon. That black dragon was thousands of feet long. It was covered with black scales that glowed with cold light. Its eyes were filled with anger. It opened its mouth and spat out black dragon flames. Its chi and energy were extremely horrifying. No wonder I couldn't injure him after so many punches. Lu Li suddenly realized that Long Shirtian was a dragon. His physical body was naturally strong. No wonder he couldn't injure him so easily. Who would have thought that the hidden Long family was actually a demon? Long Shirtian had hidden himself too well. There was not a hint of demon chi on him. But since he was a hidden Long family, he must have some secret skills to hide the demon chi on his body. Hell, killing God. Chapter 2065. There were many monsters in the second heaven, but they didn't dare to show themselves in public. After all, this was the world of humans. The fact that the dragon family was a monster was not a secret among the big forces, but the outside world didn't know about it. Back then, the dragon family dominated a part of the sea in the north. They were almost wiped out because they were monsters. The dragon race was besieged by dozens of major powers. However, the dragon race was, after all, a powerful race with deep foundations. In the end, when the dragon race was about to be annihilated, they took out their clan's divine weapon and killed the strongest experts of the major powers, defeating the invading powers. However, the dragon family was greatly weakened after that battle. They knew that humans were too strong. If they continued to occupy such a large territory, they would be wiped out sooner or later. Therefore, the entire dragon family went into a secret realm and recuperated for tens of thousands of years. Only in the recent 1,000 years did the younger generation come out. The dragon family had a relic weapon that could kill powerful warriors of the second heaven. Because of this, nobody dared to kill the younger generation of the dragon family. That was why Long Shirtian could participate in the Tournament of Geniuses. He wasn't afraid that people would secretly attack him. If any family dared to attack him, they would have to bear the wrath of the dragon family. Before he came out, the elders of the dragon family told him not to reveal his identity and not to reveal his true form. After all, humans were so strong now. If the news that the dragon family was a monster got out, there would be a lot of trouble. Therefore, now that Lu Li saw his true form, he had to kill Lu Li. Lu Li wasn't a member of a big force. What if he spread the news that the dragon family was a monster? Long Shirtian roared. The 4 pairs of dragon wings on his back flapped. He flew up and rushed towards Lu Li like a small mountain. A pair of black air surrounded him. His sharp dragon claws locked onto Lu Li and clawed at him. Good. The black dragon wanted to compete with him in terms of physical strength. Lu Li wasn't afraid at all. He used the happy steps and rushed up. He quickly dodged the claws of the black dragon and rushed towards its abdomen. He punched it. Bang! 2 scales cracked. Lu Li's punch also made a hole in the dragon's abdomen. He wanted to take this chance to rush into the black dragon's body. However, the black dragon twisted its head and spat out some dragon flames. The temperature is so high. Before the dragon flame was released, Lu Li already felt he was on fire. He dared not to act rashly. He flapped his wings and flew to the side at once. Phew! A stream of black dragon flame was spat out. The space nearby began to twist. The horrifying heat swept across. Lu Li had flown for dozens of miles, and he felt he was on fire. Amazing. Luli nodded to himself. It seemed that the Long family was a purebred dragon race. They might be a real dragon. Luli had seen dragons in the mortal world as well. But the real dragon blood in those dragons must be weak. The black dragon in front of him was a true divine dragon. Roar! The black dragon roared into the sky. It flew around in midair and charged toward Luli again. Before it got close, it spat out some dragon flames. Luli had no choice but to fly on. He had rushed out of the apotheosis dojo. The black dragon followed him and sped up. Oomph! The black dragon opened its mouth and snorted. God of hell, I think you can only seal your divine energy within a radius of 300 miles? I can use my divine energy again. Just wait for your death. The black dragon's divine energy was activated and its speed increased. Luli looked at the black dragon as he retreated. The black dragon was only a little bit slower than him. Luli was speechless. He was faster than an average warrior at the peak of the third tribulation. Even if Yin Fengming were alive, she wouldn't be able to catch up with him. This Long Shirtian was only at the later stage of the third tribulation. How could he be so fast? But on second thought, dragons were monsters after all. Their bodies were strong, and they had 4 pairs of wings. It was understandable that they could be fast. Luli thought about it, thinking about how to attack. He could break the black dragon's body, but the dragon flames were horrifying. Could he stand it? Even if he could, he would be badly injured. Fight! Li's eyes glowed. The black dragon was too big. Naturally, it was not as agile as him. Luli could run around the black dragon. As long as he was not engulfed by the dragon flames, he should not be burned to death. Whoosh! Luli suddenly dashed to the ground, circled around, and rushed to the belly of the black dragon. The black dragon opened its mouth and spat out dragon flames. Luli didn't attack the belly of the black dragon. Instead, he flew in a different direction, rushing above the black dragon and landing on its back. If I destroy the dragon's wings, he will be slowed down. Luli rushed to the side of the dragon's wings and smashed at the root of one of the wings. With 2 muffled sounds, 2 scales were broken and Luli left 2 bloody holes. Phew, the black dragon turned around and spat out dragon flames. Luli rushed to the belly of the dragon. Even though he was not engulfed by the dragon flames, he felt he was burning. His skin was smoking. Luli couldn't help but groan. But he didn't care. He punched the dragon's belly and made some bloody holes. The black dragon spat out dragon flames again. Luli had to fly to the back of the dragon. God of hell, you want to fight me? Let's see if you can kill me first, or if I can burn you to death first. The black dragon opened its mouth and said coldly. Luli's heart was way down. The black dragon was too big. Even if he punched the dragon hundreds of times and made hundreds of bloody holes, it wouldn't make much difference. His body was being burnt by the horrifying heat. In the time for 2 or 3 incense sticks to burn, he would be seriously injured. Attack the head? An idea came to Li's mind. If he could punch the black dragon's head for dozens of times, the black dragon would be seriously injured. But the black dragon could spit out dragon flames at any time. Once he was engulfed by the dragon flames, he would be burnt into ashes. I have to use the mystical iron. But if I use the mystical iron to hit the head of the black dragon, I am afraid the dragon will be killed. Luli was hesitating. This was the race of the divine dragons. Killing Long Shirtian would be like offending the entire race. How strong would the body of a powerful dragon be? By then, there would be endless troubles in the future. Forget it. Soon, Luli made up his mind. How could he win this fight without killing Long Shirtian? If he couldn't win this fight, how could he fight against Yin Kaiwe? If he couldn't kill Yin Kaiwe, he wouldn't be able to return to the demonic island. By then, he would be dead sooner or later. He had no way out. Moreover, Long Shirtian was going to kill him. Since that was the case, what was the point of considering so much? Swish! Luli moved quickly and approached the black dragon's head. The black dragon could have turned his head or turned his body, but he didn't do that. He allowed Luli to approach his head. His eyes revealed a trace of mockery. Luli actually wanted to attack his head. This was courting his own destruction. Die. After Luli arrived at the black dragon's head, he immediately took out the mystical iron. The black dragon didn't hesitate. He opened his leg and spat out a huge dragon flame which enveloped his head. He was going to burn Lu Li into ashes. Chapter 2066. The dragon flame was scorching hot. After he was enveloped by the dragon flame, Lu Li felt his entire body was burning and his skin was turning into charcoal. Lu Li believed that he couldn't last more than 5 breaths under this kind of fire. If he didn't leave in 5 breaths, he would be burned to ashes. 5 breaths was a short time. 5 blinks passed. But for powerful warriors, 1 breath could do many things. Therefore, Lu Li didn't hesitate. He used all his strength and smashed at the black dragon's head. All the divine energy in his body was sucked out. The divine metal emitted a bright black light. A vast divine energy was released, shaking heaven and earth. The entire small world was enveloped by the divine energy. This metal, as a disciple of the Long family, Long Shurtian was experienced and knowledgeable. As soon as the divine metal appeared, he felt something was wrong. He felt that this piece of metal was as powerful as the dragon race's divine weapon. His soul also felt a fatal danger. He reacted very quickly. Without hesitation, he shouted, "I admit defeat." Winning or not winning this battle didn't mean much to Long Shurtian. He wasn't sure that he could make it to the top 5. It didn't matter to him whether he could kill Lu Li or not. After all, he and Lu Li weren't enemies of life and death. His own life was the most important thing. If he died, he would have nothing. Usually, when someone shouted defeat, the opponent would stop attacking and he would be teleported out. But once Lu Li had the intention to kill, how could he stop? Long Shurtian already knew that Lu Li had the divine metal. Once he escaped, this matter would be exposed. He would be hunted down by countless forces and rogue cultivators. Therefore, his hand didn't even tremble. He swung the divine metal and smashed at the black dragon's head. Bang! With a muffled sound, the divine metal smashed down. The black dragon's head felt like it was made of mud. There was a hole in it. Lu Li couldn't control it anymore. The divine metal went all the way down and made a hole in the black dragon's head. Lu Li came out from the black dragon's chin. The divine metal easily pierced through the black dragon's head and smashed half of it. No, the black dragon let out a final roar. Its soul was in its head. Half of its head was smashed. Naturally, its soul was destroyed. The divine dragon became a dead dragon. Buzzing, the divine runes in the air fluctuated, and a powerful force enveloped the black dragon. A white light flashed, and the black dragon disappeared. The divine inscription teleported him on time. Unfortunately, the black dragon's life force had been completely extinguished. Even if he teleported him out, he would only be able to teleport his corpse. Whoosh, whoosh, Lu Li flapped his wings and flew away quickly. The temperature here was high. He knew that he would be teleported out soon, so he took out a robe and casually wrapped it around his charred body. He put the dragon wings and the godly metal into the robe and called Blood Fairy back. Buzz, a white light flashed in the square outside, and a giant dragon was teleported out. The giant dragon had become a corpse, and there was a huge hole in its head, which was still bleeding dark red blood. Oh, everyone was stunned. Why would a dragon corpse suddenly appear here? Where did this dragon come from? Those who could teleport here must have gone in to participate in the battle. The dragon's corpse was still bleeding, and it was obvious that it had just been killed. The only explanation was that this dragon was a contestant, a monster, and when he was killed, he revealed his true form. Although this dragon is dead, its aura is still very strong. Who is this dragon? Dragon? Is it Long Shurtian? Is Long Shurtian a dragon? Possibly. His surname is Long. I didn't know that the Long family is a dragon, a monster. Don't worry. His opponent will be teleported out soon. We will know who he is. People were talking about it. Many people were looking at the square, waiting for his opponent to be teleported out so that they could confirm the dragon's identity. Long Shurtian was killed? This hell killer is so cruel. He offended the Hall of Black Flame and the Fu family, and now he killed Long Shurtion. This Hell Killer is going to follow in the footsteps of the young man from the Easter Devil Palace? Is he going to make the world his enemy? The Long family is powerful. TSK, this is going to be interesting. The Long family has not sent anyone out for 300 years. This is the first time they sent someone out, and he was killed. This Hell Killer is too daring. The Long family will definitely be enraged. There were also discussions on the viewing platform. Many elders of the great clans knew of Long Shurtion's identity and the Long family secret. At this moment, they were all filled with emotions. The fact that the Long family was a monster was not a secret to the great powers. However, the Long family had always existed. The reason why the human clan did not join forces to destroy them was naturally because of the strength of the Dragon Clan. The death of a disciple of the Dragon Clan was a huge blow to the prestige of the Long family. The Long family would definitely take action, otherwise everyone would dare to kill the disciples of the Long family in the future. This was not a matter of a disciple, but the dignity of the Long family. The reason why the Black Flame Hall and the Fu family were killed was the same. It was another point. The matter of the Long family being a monster was not known by ordinary people, but after today, this matter would definitely spread throughout the entire second heaven. The situation of the Long family in the future would be even more difficult. After all, the second heaven was the world of the human clan. In this kind of situation, the Long family had to do something. They had to reveal the power of the Long family and intimidate the entire second heaven. This way, the great powers would not have any ideas about the Long family. This kid, the corner of the axe demon's mouth twitched as he mumbled to himself. However, there was no change of emotion on his face. It was as if killing Long Shurtion was not a big deal. Buzz! A ray of white light flashed, and Lu Li was teleported out. However, Lu Li looked miserable. His skin was burnt all over. At first, no one recognized him. However, after sensing that Lu Li was a second Tribulation Heaven God, his identity was confirmed. The only second Tribulation Heaven God in the top 30 was Lu Li. Hell-killing God, Black Dragon is indeed Long Shurtion. The Long family is actually a monster. The Long family actually hid it from the world for hundreds of thousands of years? After this matter spreads, I'm afraid the entire second heaven will be in an uproar. TSK, the Long family has hidden themselves so deeply. Monster, if you're not of the same race, your heart must be different. I wonder what those great families are thinking. Why don't they join forces to destroy the Long family? Hee, when this matter spreads, it will be lively. Who knows? Many powers might join forces to attack the Long family. The entire Primal Chaos City was in an uproar. Not many people were talking about Lu Li. Most of them were talking about the Long family. After all, even though there were monsters in the second heaven, they were all small forces or lone cultivators. They didn't form into a big force. The Long family had always been a powerful force. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, they dominated an area to the north of the second heaven. Even though they went into seclusion later on, their foundation was still there. Their comprehensive strength could be compared to the top forces of the second heaven. Such a powerful force was actually a monster. They had gone into seclusion for tens of thousands of years. Who knew how much their strength had recovered? If they were to make a comeback and unite all the monsters in the second heaven, it would be a nightmare for the human race. Nobody was paying attention to Lu Li at the moment. They were all discussing the dragon race. After Lu Li was teleported out, he didn't care about anything else. He sat on the ground with his legs crossed to heal his wounds. Buzzing. Chapter 2067. 5 people died in this fight. Lu Li killed one, and the other 4 were killed by the young man from the Easter Devil Palace. As long as his opponent didn't admit defeat as soon as they went up, the final outcome would be death. This time, the one killed by the young man from the Easter Devil Palace was a disciple of a hidden family. He was on the list given to Lu Li by Qin Zhan. He was suspected to be a disciple of a hidden family that was bribed to kill Lu Li. The The young man from the Eastern Devil Palace had offended several forces and one more family, not only for himself, but also for the Eastern Devil Palace. This young man was more aggressive than Luli. Granted, he had a force behind him, but it was still unprecedented for him to incur so much hatred. Many people wondered if this young man was a disciple exiled from the Eastern Devil Palace. Did he offend so many forces on purpose so that he could provoke public anger and send several forces to destroy the Eastern Devil Palace? After the time for one incense stick to burn, Yin Kaiwe came out. He defeated his opponent easily, but didn't kill him. He stood there calmly with a calm expression, as if the battle just now was just a small game to him. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, Yin Qingxi came out. She also won easily. There was no doubt about the abilities of the number 1 and number 2 on the list. They were the best among the young warriors of the second heaven. I hope I will be fighting against Yun Kaiwe in the next fight. Luli prayed to himself. The more fights there were, the more unexpected things would happen. If he were to fight against Yin Qingxi, he wouldn't have the slightest confidence. Even against the youth from the Eastern Devil Palace, he did not have much confidence. Gan Lin is out. He won? After a flash of white light, a young lady was teleported out, looking upset. Then Gan Lin came out with excitement. Clearly, he had won. Okay, the top 15 are out. After an hour, all the fights were over. The top 15 were out. Naturally, Lu Li and Gan Lin had made it to the next round. Seeing that many people were injured, the Patriarch of the Island of Chaos announced a 3-day break. The next round of fights would continue after 3 days. Everyone in the city was a powerful warrior. For them, several months was a blink of an eye. Therefore, it didn't matter if the fights lasted longer than half a year. Lu Li's wounds were better. He went back with Gan Lin and Lady Yi, who were in high spirits. When they went back to the yard, Axe Demon walked in. He asked about Lu Li's wounds and praised them with satisfaction. At the same time, he told Lu Li not to worry about the Long family's revenge and that he could go back to the Omen Island directly. He was proud that Lu Li and Gan Lin had made it to the top 15, especially since Gan Lin was his grandson. He was very satisfied with this result. Lu Li went to his room to rest and cultivate. His wounds were only scratches. After a day of healing, he was Ling. He continued to refine the divine marrow, not letting go of any opportunity to improve himself. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the tournament continued. Gan Lin was Lu. Lin was. Gan Li was. Gan was Lin. That way, he would be able to advance directly to the top 8. Lu Li, on the other hand, prayed that he would be able to fight Yun Kaiwe directly. That way, he could win in one battle and avoid any unforeseen events. Yun Kaiwe was the first to grab a divine power bubble. After he crushed it, it was the number 6. Yin Qingxi grabbed a number 2. It was the youth from the Eastern Devil Palace's turn. Countless people were nervous. After he crushed it, it was the number 6. What? Everyone was in an uproar. The young man from the Eastern Demon Palace was going to fight Yun Kaiwe. Would Yun Kaiwe eliminate the young man from the Eastern Demon Palace, or would he kill Yun Kaiwe? If it was the latter, it was afraid that the sky of the entire second heaven would be pierced through. Yun Kaiwe was different from the others. He was the next palace master of Saint Origin Palace. Whoever dared to kill him would become a mortal enemy. Yun Kaiwe's expressions changed, but soon he calmed down. He knew there would be a fight between him and the young man from the Eastern Demon Palace, but he didn't expect it to happen so soon. Alas, Lu Li sighed to himself. His hopes were dashed. He didn't expect that Yun Kaiwe would fight against the young man from the Eastern Demon Palace. Lu Li had to fight hard. He hoped that neither Yun Kaiwe nor himself would be eliminated. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a chance. However, if Yun Kaiwe was not eliminated, then he would defeat the young man from the Eastern Demon Palace. How powerful would Yun Kaiwe be? Lu Li's mind was weighed down. He reached forward and a figure of 8 appeared. He was surprised. There were 7 teams. How could there be 8? Wow. Gan Lin, who was standing next to Lu Li, yelled in surprise. His eyes were filled with envy. He said, Lu Li, you might have a blank lot. That is to say, you can enter the top 8 without having to fight. Blank lot. Luli was surprised. There was indeed one person who didn't have to fight and could advance to the next round. There were only 15 people, which was not enough for 8 teams. He was right. When everyone else had drawn their lots, Luli realized that nobody got 8. He got a blank lot. How lucky he was this time. Oh no. Gonlin exclaimed bitterly. Luli looked over and saw that Gonlin got 2. He was in a fight against Enchantment. Gonlin was not a strong fighter. It was good enough that he could make it to the top 30. Now, he was at the end of the road. There was no doubt that he would win against Enchantment. Okay, let's go to the battleground. The one who got 8 will advance to the top 8 without having to fight. The patriarch of the island of chaos said. Many people looked at Luli, exclaiming that he was so lucky. Of course, some people didn't agree. They believed that even if Luli could make it to the top 8, he would be eliminated in the next round. Luli didn't go back to consume the marrow. He waited where he was, waiting for the result. If Yin Kai-we was eliminated, then Luli didn't know if he could continue with the following rounds. Time moved on. Everyone was nervous. In the time for one incense stick to burn, a white glare flashed by. Gonlin was teleported out, followed by Enchantment. Gonlin was defeated, utterly defeated. He stood on the side, upset. Luli and Lady E went over to comfort him. Gonlin said in a low voice with a bitter smile, "They are not at the same level. I can't fight against her. She is too strong. She is at least at the peak of the 3rd tribulation." Luli knew that Enchantment was strong, but he didn't know that she was this strong. She was at the peak of the 3rd tribulation at such a young age. This person would be the 2nd great demon king in the future. Do you know which force she is from? Is there a big family with the surname of En at the 2nd heaven? Luli asked with a frown. A person like her could not be a rogue cultivator. She must have been cultivated with countless elixirs. She must be from a super family. There must be some clues. I don't know. I have never heard of a big family with the surname of En at the 2nd heaven. Gonlin replied. He turned to Lady E, who shook her head and said, "There is no big family with the surname of En at the 2nd heaven. She might be from the 3rd heaven." The 3rd heaven. Li's eyes glowed. Lu Ling should be at the 3rd heaven. He could ask her if she had heard of her family. Chapter 2068. At the thought of this, Luli was like a spark that started a prairie fire. He could no longer suppress it. Luli didn't even care about the results of the following matches. He didn't realize it until Gonlin and Lady E were about to leave. How many days of rest? Luli asked Gonlin. Gonlin answered, 3 days. From now on, we will rest for 3 days for each match so that the participants can be at their best. Okay. Luli nodded. He followed them back to the yard and went to Gonlin's room. Gonlin forced a smile and said, "Luli, you don't have to comfort me. I know what I am capable of. I am happy that I have made it this far." "Good," Luli said with a smile. "I think I will be eliminated soon. I want to ask you something. Do you know where Enchantment lives?" Gonlin was surprised. Luli didn't have any interest in Enchantment before. Enchantment came to the banquet for him, but he left without giving her any face. Why did he ask where Enchantment lived? Gonlin didn't think for long. He said, "She lives in the 3rd yard on the east side. The White Castle is easy to recognize, but I don't think she receives guests. I wonder if you will see her." "I will try." Luli turned around and left without hesitation. Once again, he became the center of attention. Luli rarely came out. He had been cultivating all the time. Now that he was walking around, people were curious about where he was going. When Luli walked to the yard where Enchantment lived, those who saw him were in an uproar. Luli didn't give Enchantment face, did he? Now, he was paying her a visit? Many people were curious as well. Enchantment never received outsiders. Would Luli have the chance to step into her room? Luli asked for an audience. The maid went in to report, and Luli waited patiently. More and more people gathered around, but they didn't have high hopes for Luli. After all, Luli didn't give face at Yun Kaiyue's banquet. "Young master, Lady Qingxi wants to see you." After a while, the maid came out and invited Luli in. Soon, there was a huge commotion outside. Qingxi didn't even receive Yun Kaiyue when he came. How could Luli go in? The news spread like snowflakes, causing a huge storm in Primal Chaos City. When Yun Kaiyue got the news, he immediately crushed the cup in his hand. Many young masters also showed killing intent in their eyes. Qingxi was their goddess, and the fire of jealousy was burning in their hearts. Luli did not know that he had incurred the hatred of many. He walked into a side chamber where Qingxi was waiting. Sitting next to her was an old man. Clearly, the old man was a powerful warrior. His chi and energy were profound and unfathomable. "Greetings, Miss Een. Greetings, Senior." Luli bowed to Luli politely. The old man didn't even open his eyes. Qingxi took off her veil and returned the greeting. "The god of massacre has graced my humble abode. Please sit down." Luli didn't stand on ceremony. He sat down, and the maid served him some tea. After the maid left, Qingxi picked up the cup and took a sip. Her movements were graceful, and her temperament was extraordinary. One look, and Luli could tell that she was from a prestigious family and had been brought up well. Qingxi was very beautiful. It was a pleasure to watch her drink tea. After she took a sip, Qingxi looked up at Luli and asked, "The god of massacre has come to see you. What is it?" "Yes, there is. Please forgive me if I have been presumptuous." Luli was asking for a favor, so he was respectful. He cupped his fists and said, "I just want to know if you are familiar with the third heaven, Lady Een." "The third heaven?" Qingxi's eyes glowed. A gentle smile appeared on her face, which made her look even more beautiful. She looked at Luli meaningfully and asked, "I wonder why the god of massacre would ask this." Luli didn't beat around the bush. He came straight to the point. "I have a friend who might be at the third heaven. I don't have the ability to go there now, so I want to find out her whereabouts." "Oh." Qingxi was curious. She asked, "What is your friend's name?" "Lu Ling." Luli cut to the chase. "She is from the Dragon Rebel Valley. Do you know anything about her?" "Lu Ling?" Qingxi frowned. There was a glint of disappointment in her eyes, but she hid it well. She thought about it. She picked up her cup of tea, but didn't drink it. After the time for half an incense stick to burn, she said, "I know about the Dragon Rebel Valley." "Oh." Li's eyes glowed. He was excited. He sat up straight and said, "Lady Een, can you tell me more about the Dragon Rebel Valley?" "There is not much to tell," Qingxi said casually. "The Dragon Rebel Valley is a super force at the third heaven, but it is similar to the secluded families at the second heaven. Their disciples rarely go out and about. Therefore, the outside world doesn't know much about them. But I do know that the Dragon Rebel Valley is at the east of the third heaven. There's a famous forbidden area nearby called the Forbidden Land of Eternity." Oh, Luli was disappointed. He didn't give up and asked, "Lady Een, have you never heard of the name Lu Ling?" "Oh, I have a portrait here." Luli took out Lu Ling's portrait and asked, "Lady Een, have you ever seen her?" "No," Qingxi said with certainty. "I have never seen her. Maybe she's been staying in the Dragon Rebel Valley all this time." "I see." Luli was disappointed. It seemed that he would have to go to the Dragon Rebel Valley to find Lu Ling. He repeated the words "Forbidden Land of Eternity," cupped his fists, and said, "Thank you, Lady Een. I am grateful. It is not a big deal. Not worth mentioning." Qingxi smiled and asked casually, "I didn't know that the Azura god has such a wide circle of friends. You can make friends with disciples of major families at the third heaven. I wonder if the Azura god knows other people at the third heaven." "Other people?" Luli was surprised. The first thing that came to his mind was Emperor Z. Emperor Z used to be an emperor at the third heaven. Of course, he could not tell her about this. Luli shook his head and sighed. "Lady Een, you must be joking. I am not powerful enough. I don't have the courage to go to the third heaven. How can I make friends with people at the third heaven? I met that Lu Ling by accident." "Oh, I see." Qingxi nodded. Luli knew he couldn't get anything else out of her. He cupped his fists and said, "Then I will leave now. Thank you again, Lady Yin. Yin Qingxi stood up and saluted back. See you, Azura God. Luli left. Yin Qingxi stared at his back for a long time. When Luli left the yard, the old man sitting next to her suddenly opened his eyes. He said with contempt, "He is at the second tribulation realm. Even if his immortal body is accomplished and he has some tricks up his sleeve, he is not promising." "You cannot say that." Yin Qingxi frowned and said in a low voice, "This man can kill his way up from the mortal world without any background. He has to rely on himself. At such a young age, he is able to defeat many talented young warriors at the second heaven. He must be extraordinary. If I were him and I was born in the mortal world without any background, do you think I can achieve what he has achieved?" The old man shook his head and said, "Lady Yin, you are smart and talented. You must be better than him." Ha ha. Chapter 2069. Back in the manor, Luli suddenly remembered something. Just now, it seemed that Yun Kaiwe was fighting against a young man from the Easter Devil Palace. How come he didn't pay attention to the situation? He hurriedly found Gan Lin and asked about it. Gan Lin rolled his eyes and said, "Weren't you there just now? Haven't you been paying attention? So many people are talking about it, and you don't even know about it?" "I was thinking about something at the time, and my mind was in a daze, so I didn't pay much attention." Luli touched his head a little awkwardly, and then suddenly came to a realization. "Yun Kaiwe won." Gan Lin nodded. Luli's expression showed that he had expected it. If the youth from the Easter Devil Palace had won, then Yun Kaiwe might have been killed. The square would have exploded, and he would have been alarmed. "Tell me what happened. Is Yun Kaiwe injured?" Luli asked with concern. After Gan Lin told him, Luli frowned. Yun Kaiwe was injured, but there was only a trickle of blood at the corner of his mouth. There were no other injuries on his body. On the other hand, the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace had a bloody hole in his chest. He looked very wretched. Not long after he came out, he fainted and was taken away by an old man. Yun Kaiwe is so powerful. Luli felt like a mountain was pressing down on him, suffocating him. The next palace master appointed by the Saint Origin Palace was indeed extraordinary. Even the young man from the Eastern Devil Palace could kill Tongning. Luli had thought that Yun Kaiwe and Yun Kaiwe were about the same, but he didn't expect the gap to be so huge. "Luli, if you're up against Yun Kaiwe, just admit defeat. Don't fight to the death." Gan Lin instructed, "I heard that you entered Miss Yin's castle." Yun Kaiwe flew into a terrible rage and swore that he would kill you if he encountered you. If you admit defeat as soon as you enter, he won't have a chance to kill you. Hee hee. Luli forced a smile. It was not a matter of whether Yun Kaiwe wanted to kill him or not. It was that he had to kill Yun Kaiwe. Otherwise, he would be too ashamed to go back to the Omen Island. By then, only death would await him. "I know, I'll go back first." Luli went back to his room. While consuming the divine quintessence, he was thinking about how to deal with his enemies. His normal attacks would probably be ineffective against Yun Kaiwe, so he could only use godly metal. However, if the divine metal was ineffective, or if he used the divine metal and Yun Kaiwe avoided it, what should he do then? Saint Origin Palace was ranked second among the 36 major powers. It was also one of the major powers with the longest history in the second heaven. It had existed for at least 1,000,000 years. There was an old saying in the Heaven Reverse universe: there is no such thing as an immortal dynasty and no such thing as a thriving family. There must be a reason why Saint Origin Palace could exist for 1,000,000 years. How strong was the foundation of Saint Origin Palace after 1,000,000 years of accumulation? It was simply unimaginable. Since Yun Kaiwe was the next palace master, Saint Origin Palace would naturally take measures to protect him. Even if he had come to Chaos Island, he would probably have left some tricks up his sleeve to avoid dying prematurely. Therefore, even if Luli were as powerful as him, it would be extremely difficult for Luli to kill him, not to mention that Luli was not as powerful as him. His only hope was the godly metal. If he could not kill Ling Han with a single strike, the one who would die would definitely be him. Calm down, calm down. Luli entered the state of illusion, allowing himself to reach an ethereal state. He began to go through all his skills and killing moves, using everything he could. Only in this way could he have a higher chance of killing Yun Kaiwe. If only I could consume the primordial chi. Luli checked his body and noticed the mass of primordial chi in his abdomen. Even if he could consume part of it, his body would be greatly strengthened, not to mention all of it. Marks of Great Tao. If I can learn the marks of Great Tao, I can activate the special patterns of the marks of Great Tao. I think I can have a chance to consume the primordial chi. Luli frowned. The more than 3,000 traces of the Great Path were too complicated and abstruse. It would take him years to study them, or even a lifetime. What he lacked the most right now was time. Let me try. Luli stopped thinking about it. He consumed the divine quintessence and studied the marks of Great Tao at the same time, trying his best. 3 days passed. Luli was woken up by Ganlin. He put on a bitter smile. Apart from some divine quintessence, he had gained nothing in the past 3 days. He walked out. Lady Ganlini and Axe Demon were both there. Axe Demon looked at Luli and said, Luli, it is good enough that you have achieved this rank. If things go wrong, admit defeat at once. Don't risk your life. Understand. Thank you for your concern, Lord Axe Demon. Luli nodded. They walked out and arrived at the plaza. This time, the 8 of them were all powerful warriors. Apart from Luli, the weakest was at the middle stage of the third tribulation. To be able to make it this far, every one of them must be powerful and not to be underestimated. Luli was in a dilemma. He wanted to fight Yin Kaiwe, but at the same time, he didn't want to. He crushed a bubble of divine energy, and the number 4 appeared. 4. The hellish killer is going to fight young master Yun Kaiwe. Before Luli could check the situation, he heard a shout of surprise. Then, many people were talking about it excitedly. Luli's reputation was not good. There were many rumors that Yun Kaiwe wanted to kill Luli. Now, he was going to fight. Naturally, many young masters were excited. Yes, Luli looked around and saw the bubble of divine energy in Yun Kaiwe's hand. It was indeed 4. Luli's mind was weighed down. Yin Kaiwe really wants to kill me. Luli and Yun Kaiwe looked at each other. Luli could not hide the killing intent in Yun Kaiwe's eyes. Luli felt less burdened. At first, Luli did not want to kill Yin Kaiwe. After all, there was no feud between them. Now, Luli had fewer concerns. Of course, he was not sure if he could kill Yun Kaiwe. You're no match for him. Admit defeat when you go in. Axe Demon said. Ganlin said as well. Luli, admit defeat when you go in. Luli looked at Axe Demon and nodded without saying anything. Then, he looked at Ganlin and said nothing as well. Luli looked at Lady Een with curiosity. She didn't tell him to admit defeat. Why was she so confident in him? Hellish killer. Een Qingxi said, don't fight over personal feelings. Given your abilities, you are no match for young Master Yin. Admit defeat as soon as you go in. Thank you, Lady Een. Luli smiled and replied, I know what to do. Admitting defeat is not my style. Alas, Een Qingxi sighed. She did not try to persuade him or send a message to Yun Kaiwe. Her opponent was a chosen one from a major force, one of the top 10 on the list. However, she didn't even look at that chosen one. Clearly, she was confident that she could win. Let's go in. The old warrior from the island of chaos said. Yin Kaiwe did not move. Clearly, he wanted to wait for Luli to go in. Luli did not hesitate. He went into a random battlefield and ordered Blood Fairy. Go and build a dojo of the Investiture of Gods. Master, the dojo of the Investiture of Gods is not very useful. Blood Fairy had been paying attention to the previous fights. She said, Master, I have been studying another kind of dojo of runes. It may be of help to you. Oh, Luli was cheered up. Blood Fairy was providing timely help, just in time. Chapter 2070. Blood Fairy had been studying divine glyphs all these years. She was a spirit. Apart from studying divine glyphs, she had nothing else to do. Therefore, her progress was fast. In addition, Luli had given her a lot of information about divine glyphs and some treasures with divine glyphs. Also, in places like the Mountain of Demons and the Pit of Haze, Blood Fairy had seen many complicated divine glyphs. When Blood Fairy said that she had mastered another divine glyphs, Luli was surprised and delighted at the same time. Then, he realized that it was reasonable. Blood Fairy was talented and accomplished in this area. It was not surprising that she could develop a divine glyphs. What kind of divine glyphs? Luli asked out of curiosity. Blood Fairy answered, "It's similar to an illusion, but more advanced." Illusion. Luli was disappointed. Illusion could only confuse the enemy's mind and senses. It could not hurt the enemy. No matter how powerful an illusion was, it could only trap the enemy. Yun Kaiwei must have some treasures related to the soul. It was impossible to destroy his soul directly. Master, don't underestimate this divine glyphs. Blood Fairy was not happy that Luli was belittling it, but she did not explain further. Instead, she said, "Master, think of a way to buy us the time for 3 incense sticks to burn. You will know its power when it is ready." The time for 3 incense sticks to burn? Luli was frustrated. He replied at once, "Go and do it. I will think of a way." As he transmitted his voice, Yin Kaiwei had already entered. As soon as he entered, a long black spear appeared in his hand, and a sky-blue battle armor appeared around his body. This weapon and battle armor were both faintly discernible divine patterns. It was clearly a supreme treasure. "Young Master Yin, nice to meet you." Luli did not take out his weapon or do anything. Instead, he cupped his fists and bowed to Yin Kaiwei. Yin Kaiwei's expressions did not change. He said, "I have long heard of the Azura god's fame in the Storm Sea. It is my honor to fight you today. I hope you'll not go easy on me. Let's try our best." "That's for sure." Luli nodded slightly and said, "But before that, I would like to ask young Master Yin about something. I hope young Master Yin would be generous enough to tell me." Since Luli was being so formal, Yin Kaiwei could not afford to lose his poise. Alarmed, Yin Kaiwei said, "Please, Azura God, I would like to ask if Miss Een is from the third heaven." Luli had already thought a question, and it was a topic that Yin Kaiwei was concerned about. Only in this way could he buy enough time. As expected, the moment he opened his mouth, Yin Kaiwei's eyes narrowed slightly. However, he didn't answer this question and said, "Shouldn't the Grim Reaper ask Miss Een? This is her privacy. Forgive me for not being able to answer." "Young Master Yin, please don't misunderstand." Luli said with a light smile, "I am not interested in Lady Een at all. Otherwise, I wouldn't have left the banquet directly. Don't worry, I'm not your rival in love." "Oh." Yin Kaiwei stared at Luli. Seeing that there was no change in Luli's eyes and his expressions were natural, Yin Kaiwei started to believe Luli's words. He frowned for a moment and said, "You'd better ask Miss Een herself about her situation. I can't leak any information about her." "Looks like he's from the third heaven." Luli grinned. He now understood why Yin Kaiwei cared so much about Een Qingxi. Naturally, Yin Kaiwei was interested in a young lady from a force of the third heaven. If he could get her, it would not only be good news for himself, but also for the entire St. Origin Hall. For example, if a young master in the divinity hooked up with a goddess at the second heaven, wouldn't that family in the divinity soar immediately? "Young Master Yin, aren't you curious why Lady Een has taken a liking to me?" Luli began to talk nonsense again. He was stalling so he could talk about anything. As long as Yin Kaiwei didn't make a move, Luli could talk about anything Yin Kaiwei cared about. As Luli had expected, Yin Kaiwei's eyes glowed. He thought about it and said, "I am. Why is the Grim Reaper willing to tell me?" "It's simple," Luli said with a mysterious smile, "because I have a senior in the third heaven. She must have heard about me from my senior, so she is curious about me. But she didn't mention this. Therefore, I assume that she is not familiar with that senior." "Senior?" Luli's words scared Yin Kaiwei. Luli had a senior in the third heaven, someone who could converse with Een Qingxi. Was Luli someone with a background as well? Ha. Yin Kaiwei came back to his senses soon. He smiled. Clearly, Luli was bluffing. If Luli really had a powerful background, How could he be hunted down by the Fu family of the Black Flame Hall? Even the Fu family of the Black Flame Hall wouldn't have the guts to do anything to Lu Li when he revealed his identity. Also, if Lu Li had a powerful background, how could he be a second tribulation heaven god? How could he not have any powerful warriors to protect him? This was not logical. Was Lu Li deliberately putting on a show, trying to scare Yun Kaiwe with his background at the third heaven, so that Yun Kaiwe would have second thoughts? Was Lu Li trying to suppress Yun Kaiwe in the fight later? Yun Kaiwe didn't want to waste more time with Lu Li. He said, "Grim Reaper, are we done? Let's get started." "Young Master Yin, why are you in such a hurry?" Lu Li thought about it. There was not enough time. Blood Fairy was not done yet. Lu Li asked, "Young Master Yin, do you know Fairy Tianyin?" "Fairy Tianyin?" Yin Kaiwe frowned. "No, I don't." "What's wrong? You don't know her?" Lu Li was surprised. How could he not know Fairy Tianyin? Why would Lu Li want to kill him if he didn't know her? Fairy Tianyin had always been a gentle person. Why would she want to kill Yin Kaiwe for no reason? Lu Li thought about it and changed the topic. "Then do you know the Asmodean?" "That is even less likely." Yin Kaiwe shook his head. "The Asmodean is a loner. He never makes friends with forces at the second heaven. Not even my father has met him, not to mention me." "I see." Lu Li could not figure it out. What should he talk about? Yin Kaiwe came to his senses. A glint of killing intent rose in his eyes as he said, "Grim Reaper, are you buying time on purpose?" "Grim Reaper, be careful. Kaiwe is about to make a move." Whoosh! Yin Kaiwe kicked on the ground. He dashed toward Lu Li in a blue blur. He didn't make a move yet. He just poured divine energy into his weapon. A surge of coldness spread out from the spear. The temperature of the small world seemed to have dropped. Buzzing, Lu Li spread out his dragon wings and stepped back quickly. He knew that no matter what he said, Yin Kaiwe would not stop. Lu Li had to rely on his speed to buy more time until Blood Fairy finished building the plaza. Lu Li was fast. He retreated for 300 miles in an instant. Then he began to circle around. Yin Kaiwe could not get closer. "You are fast." Yin Kaiwe nodded. He waved his spear and generated some traces that formed a strange force field in the air. Space trembled. A surge of energy spread out from Yin Kaiwe. He shouted, "Field of ice." Gusts of frosty chi emanated from his body, quickly sweeping out in all directions, enveloping the entire small world in an instant. Lu Li felt a gust of cold air. His body, divine energy, and even his soul were about to be frozen. He was slowed down. What is this fundamental principle? How can it cover such a large area? Chapter 2071. Lu Li had seen fundamental principle of ice before. Back in the days, Lu Renhuang learned one that could freeze an area with a radius of 3,000 miles. However, Lu Renhuang's fundamental principle of ice was nothing compared to Yun Kaiwe's field of ice. Lu Renhuang had the body of a man of ice, while Yun Kaiwe had the body of a man of ice, divine energy and soul. How strong was Lu Li's body? At the moment, he felt numb in his hands and feet. He felt drowsy in his soul, and the circulation of divine energy slowed down. Whoosh! Yin Kaiwe himself was not affected. He dashed toward Lu Li. Before he got close, he made 3 moves with his spear. Swish! With 3 sharp noises, 3 spear shadows came from 3 different directions, one from the front and one from the back. There was one above Lu Li's head. It was a marvelous move. The 3 spear shadows were not illusions. They looked like 3 real spears coming at him. Lu Li used the mark of Tao. His senses were sharp. He knew that the 3 spear shadows were coming at him at the same time. He could not dodge them all at his current speed. Point! He took the initiative to rush upwards, swinging his fists at the spear shadows above. When his fists collided with the spear shadows, he felt as if he had been hit by a small mountain. Blood flowed out of his fists. He was actually injured by the explosion. Wait, originally he thought that the power of the spear shadow was only SOSO, but he suddenly realized something. He discovered that a stream of energy had suddenly drilled into his fist and entered his body, quickly dispersing to all parts of his body. The energy of darkness is corroding my source of life. Luli sensed it and was shocked. No wonder Yun Kai-we could injure the young man from the Easter Devil Palace. That young man passed out as soon as he went out. This must be the reason. Yun Kai-we could keep releasing spear shadows. Every time, a strand of energy of darkness would enter his body. The energy was not corroding the source of life fast. But what about hundreds or tens of thousands of spear shadows? When tens of thousands of strands of energy of darkness entered the body, even the most powerful warrior would be doomed. The source of life was the most important thing for a living being. Once the source of life was consumed, the person would become weak. When the source of life was exhausted, the person would die instantly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Even though Lu Li had flown away, he was slowed down by the field of ice. Soon, Yun Kai-we was able to close the distance. Swish, swish, Yun Kai-we was careful. He didn't try to get closer. Instead, he made several stabs from more than 30 miles away. This time, he generated 8 spear shadows from all directions. Lu Li had nowhere to run. He had to take 2 of them head-on. Boom, boom, boom. The spear shadow was easily shattered, but the 2 streams of darkness-attributed energy entered his body and began to destroy his life force. The energy of darkness was not strong, but it was constantly destroying the source of life, which gave Lu Li a headache. Blood Fairy is not done yet. I'm going to die at this. Lu Li sent a message. Blood Fairy replied quickly. Wait for the time for 1 incense stick to burn. It will be ready soon. Lu Li could only keep flying and try his best to avoid Yun Kai-we's approach. Unfortunately, his speed was greatly suppressed, and Yun Kai-we was constantly closing the distance between them. He was constantly attacked by the shadows of the spear. In the time for 1 incense stick to burn, Lu Li had been attacked by hundreds of streaks of darkness. He was slowed down again and felt weak. The dark energy was eroding his source of life. Lu Li knew that if he was attacked over 1,000 times and hundreds of streaks of darkness entered his body, he would not be able to fight anymore. He could just give up or wait for death. Azura, Yun Kai-we said coldly, I suggest you give up. I cannot guarantee that you can walk out of here alive if the fight goes on. Did Yun Kai-we change his mind? Was he not going to kill Lu Li? Maybe it was because of Lu Li's words. What if Lu Li had a background in the 3rd plane of heaven? Killing Lu Li would bring endless trouble to the Saint Origin Hall. Disciples of major families usually had long-term considerations. They would not kill unless it was absolutely necessary. How could Lu Li give up? He would only give up when there was no hope at the very last moment. He made up his mind and flew on. At the same time, he tried to mobilize divine energy and the strange energy in his acupoints to see if he could dissolve the dark energy in his body. Unfortunately, the dark energy had spread throughout his body and was hiding in his flesh and blood. It was impossible to get rid of it in a short period of time. Master, it's done. Do you want to do it now? After a moment, Blood Fairy asked. Lu Li replied at once. Do it. Trap Yun Kai-we. Buzzing, there was a light coming from underground. Following that, a wisp of white mist spread out and enveloped the entire small world. Yun Kai-we stopped at once. He looked around alertly. Soon, his expressions changed. He had lost sight of Lu Li and the world had changed. He had entered a strange world where there were many strange demons and beasts lurking around, eyeing him covetously. Hoi! Yun Kai-we suddenly let out a loud shout and fiercely stabbed out a few dozen spear strikes toward the left. His figure also twisted ceaselessly in midair as his expression became one of extreme pain and terror, as if he'd suffered the attack of a formidable demon or monster. Lu Li was taken aback. From his perspective, there was nothing on Yun Kai-we's side. It was as if he was fighting with the air. This dojo is not bad. Lu Li nodded. At least, he was safe for now. He could find a way to dispel the dark energy in his body and then figure out a way to suppress Yun Kai-we. Master, Blood Fairy said, he will not be able to crack this dojo anytime soon. I will build another apatheicized dojo to suppress him. By then, it will be easier for you to kill him. Okay. Luli landed and was thousands of miles away from Yun Kaiwe. He sat down with his legs crossed and began to dispel the dark energy in his body. If he did not get rid of the dark energy, he would die sooner or later because his life force would be eroded. I can't. An hour later, Luli was troubled. The dark energy was hiding in every inch of his flesh and blood. It was not efficient to get rid of it. Based on his current efficiency, it would take him at least a year. Was he going to waste a year with Yin Kaiwe? Right. The dark energy and the Chi of Chaos seemed to have similar properties. The Chi of Chaos seemed to be able to erode the life force as well, but it was much stronger than the dark energy. If Luli could absorb the Chi of Chaos, why couldn't he absorb the dark energy? The trace of Great Path is the key. Luli nodded. He sat down again and tried to use the trace of Great Path to absorb the dark energy. If he could, Yin Kaiue's attack would be ineffective against him. No matter how much dark energy entered his body, he could absorb it easily. Boom! 3 incense sticks worth of time later, a muffled explosion came from afar. Then, Blood Fairy's voice transmission rang out. Master, it's not good. Yun Kaiwe has used a powerful secret treasure. The 2 divine pattern Dao grounds I've set up have been broken by him. What? Luli was shocked. He did not expect Yun Kaiwe to be this strong. The second warrior on the list was well-deserved. He had not found a way to absorb the dark energy in his body yet, and Yun Kaiwe was coming for him again. Do I have to admit defeat? If he did, he would not be able to go back to the Omen Island. Death would still be waiting for him. If he doesn't admit defeat, he is very likely to die in the small world of martial arts. Chapter 2072. Yin Kaiwe didn't want to use the artifact because it was precious. It was the second most valuable artifact in the Sacred Origin Hall. He didn't want to expose it unless it was absolutely necessary. The divine inscription dojo that Blood Fairy had set up was extremely powerful. It wasn't just an ordinary illusion. It could also stealthily affect Yun Kaiue's soul, causing him to unknowingly fall into a berserk, bloodthirsty state. If it weren't for the protection of the artifact in his soul, he would have lost his mind. Luli was not an average warrior. Luli was a powerful warrior that could threaten Yun Kaiue's life. Yun Kaiue could not use the artifact at once. He cracked the plaza and went to find Luli at once. When he approached Luli, he saw Luli sitting on the ground with his legs crossed. Luli looked weak and pale. Yin Kaiue was relieved. It seemed that Luli could not solve the energy of darkness, or else Luli would have attacked him. Since Luli could not solve it, Yin Kaiue was not in a hurry. The energy was like a poison, like maggots on bones. Luli would become weaker and weaker. By then, Yin Kaiue would be able to control Luli's life. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yin Kaiue kept on attacking from a distance. Luli had no choice but to run away. He was hit by Yun Kaiue's spear constantly. The energy of darkness in Li's body was growing. Luli still did not use the relic iron, nor did he say anything. He just ran around in circles. His eyebrows were knitted together. He was thinking about one thing: how to absorb the energy of darkness with a trace of the Great Path. As long as he could absorb the energy, Yun Kaiue's method of attack would collapse on its own. If he could not solve the attack, Yin Kaiue wouldn't have to use other moves. Luli would be defeated. He tried to use the trace of the Great Path, but he could not absorb the dark energy. Back when he used the trace of the Great Path, he could absorb the primordial chaos and primordial chaos easily. How come he could not absorb the dark energy now? Time moved on. The dark energy in Luli's body was increasing. He was getting weaker and weaker. His vitality was being eroded. At this rate, in a couple of hours he would die. Azura, give up, Yin Kaiue said from behind. This killer move of mine is not an ordinary killer move. I spent 3 years in a Dark Soul world. I spent 3 years of suffering before I comprehended it. This killer move is almost unsolvable. Only time can slowly expel it. If you continue to persist, only death awaits you. When Yun Kaiue was speaking, he even activated the memory crystal. This way, if Luli really had a background, he would be able to explain himself. It wasn't that he wanted to kill Lu Li, but Lu Li was courting death. Dark Soul World. When Lu Li heard these words, he suddenly thought of something. Could it be that the dark energy was soul energy? This energy wasn't a physical attack, but a soul attack. No, that's not right. Soul attacks are supposed to attack the soul. How could they possibly corrode my life essence? Lu Li was confused. On second thought, he mobilized soul energy and tried to mobilize the trace of Tao with it. After activating the scar of the great Tao with his soul power, all of the darkness-type energy in his body was absorbed. They surged out from every inch of his flesh and blood and gathered in his lower abdomen, mixing with the chaotic qi. It is indeed soul energy, but it is an extremely peculiar soul energy. Lu Li was overjoyed. No wonder he couldn't absorb the energy before. This was the reason. He was relieved. He took out some divine liquid and consumed it. He also took out some pellets to recover his life essence. Of course, he didn't show it. He continued to pretend to be weak and about to die at any moment. His speed was getting slower, as if the life essence in his body was about to run out. Azura, give up. I have to win this fight. If you don't come to your senses, then I will not show you any mercy. Azura, I have advised you again and again. Do you really think I don't have the guts to kill you? Azura, I will give you one last chance. Give up. Yin Kaiwei kept on attacking and shouted at the same time. He had been recording the situation with a memory crystal. In the future, if someone were to use this as an excuse, he wouldn't be afraid of being in the wrong. After the time for several incense sticks to burn, Lu Li's speed had slowed down to that of a three-tribulation heaven god. His face was pale and sickly, like an old man past his prime. Although he looked weak, Lu Li had actually recovered a lot. He was just pretending. He was waiting for a chance, waiting for Yun Kaiwei to approach him. He only had one chance. If the divine metal could not kill Yun Kaiwei, then he would have to admit defeat or wait for death. Azura, I am sorry. Finally, Yin Kaiwei couldn't stand it anymore. He resorted to another move. His spear trembled. The energy in heaven and earth and the cold air gathered toward his spear. Surges of divine might were condensed in the spear. Then he suddenly made a move. Swish, an ice dragon whooshed out from the spear, caught up with Lu Li and hit him on the back. The dragon wings on his back exploded and then his back cracked. His flesh and blood were torn apart, revealing his yellow bones. But his bones had been refined for a long time, and they were very hard. Surprisingly, they were not broken. Bang! Lu Li fell to the ground. He spat out some blood. His eyes rolled back and he passed out. He lay on the ground, motionless. Yin Kaiwei blinked and stared at Lu Li with suspicion. He used psychic power to check again and again. Only when he was sure that Lu Li's qi and energy were weak and his soul was silent did he frown. Lu Li had passed out? What should he do? Since Lu Li didn't admit defeat, he would not be teleported out. Yin Kaiwei could either wait for Lu Li to wake up and admit defeat or kill him. Let's see if he's really in a coma first. Yin Kaiwei was careful. He released another ice dragon, which blew up Lu Li's back. This time, Lu Li's bones were broken. Yin Kaiwei was relieved to make sure that Lu Li was still motionless and that there was no fluctuation in his soul. He flew down and his hand glared. He was ready to seal Lu Li's pellet first. In this way, when Lu Li woke up, Yin Kaiwei would have the final say in Lu Li's life. Still, Yin Kaiwei was careful. He flew around Lu Li and tried to get closer. Seeing that there was no fluctuation in Lu Li's soul, Yin Kaiwei moved closer and slapped at Lu Li's abdomen. Right at that moment, Lu Li opened his eyes as if a dragon had just woken up. A piece of black iron appeared in his hand. He was filled with killing intent as well. He shouted, "Young Master Yin, you have fallen into my trap." The iron had absorbed all the divine energy in Lu Li's body. The horrifying energy spread out as if the sky was pressing down. Even Yin Kaiwei's soul was trembling. Yin Kaiwei's expressions changed as he yelled, "Such power! Is this a fragment of a holy weapon?" "You are right, but there is no prize. Chapter 2073. The godly metal smashed at Lu Li with destructive power. The two were so close that Yun Kaiwe couldn't dodge at all. He could either use a powerful move to perish together with Lu Li, or he could only defend. Yun Kaiwe recognized that the godly metal was a holy weapon shard, but he didn't panic or risk his life to attack. Buzzing, his ring glowed, and a silver square-shaped cauldron appeared in his hand. He poured in divine power, and the cauldron glowed with a silver light. A surge of divine power spread out, which was not weaker than the godly metal. Buzzing, the square-shaped cauldron glowed and turned into a shield, shielding Yun Kaiue's head. The godly metal smashed down just in time, and all of it landed on the shield. Boom! The godly metal and the shield collided once, and the space nearby trembled. The horrifying impact knocked Lu Li and Yun Kaiwe away. Lu Li's injuries were getting worse, and Yun Kaiwe spat out some blood. However, his eyes were filled with coldness, and his face was filled with excitement. He shouted from afar, "Azura, your realm is too low. Even if you have a holy weapon shard, you can't release too much divine power." Ha, ha, ha. I didn't expect that Yun Kaiwe, would have the chance to get a holy weapon shard. Azura, I am sorry, but you must die today. Yun Kaiwe flew over quickly, and the shield in his hand changed again, turning into a spear. The square-shaped cauldron seemed to be able to change at will. The spear was filled with divine power. It was surrounded by multicolored light. Its power was no weaker than the godly metal. Clearly, it was an imitation of a holy weapon, and a more advanced one at that. Its divine power was much stronger than Qin Zhan's immortal demon tower. "It's over." Lu Li's eyes dimmed down. He didn't expect Yun Kaiwe to have such a powerful secret treasure. He thought that even if Yun Kaiwe had a secret treasure, he could destroy it with the godly metal. He didn't expect this result. The godly metal could only be used once, and Lu Li didn't have divine power anymore. Therefore, he had two choices: die or admit defeat. Lu Li shouted and was ready to admit defeat. Defeat was defeat, but it was better than losing his life. If he couldn't go back to the Heavenly Demon Island, he could still think of a way to escape and kill his way out. Even though the chances were slim, there was still a chance. However, right when Lu Li was about to admit defeat, the spear in Yun Kaiue's hand suddenly turned into a bell. Yun Kaiue struck the bell forcefully. The bell let out a sound as loud as thunder. The sound spread out in waves. Lu Li's eardrums were torn at once. The pain prevented him from shouting the rest of his words. Most importantly, that spatial fluctuation had entered his mind and turned into a strange energy that wanted to attack his soul. Naturally, he couldn't shout out the last two words, so he couldn't teleport out. Yun Kaiwe wants to steal my godly metal. He wants to kill me. Lu Li's heart trembled. As Yun Kaiwe flew over quickly, he smelled a trace of the aura of death. He was currently heavily injured and without any divine power, so he was absolutely not Yun Kaiue's match. Putting aside the fact that Yun Kaiue possessed powerful secret treasures, just based on Yun Kaiue's battle prowess alone, he would definitely not be a match for him if he did not use godly metal. Life and death Baldi. He did not choose to escape, nor did he continue to admit defeat. Yun Kaiue could attack his soul at any time and prevent him from shouting those three words. Every time he was on the verge of life and death, his mind would always move 100 times faster than usual. In the time for one breath, hundreds of ideas would go through his mind, thinking about how to solve this life and death situation. There was no time to cultivate divine power. Even if he could replenish his divine power in an instant, Yun Kaiue would not be able to kill him even if he had secret treasures. It was already impossible to intimidate him with words. For someone like Yun Kaiue, once he had the intention to kill, he would definitely not change his mind easily. Even if Lu Li said that his father was a third heaven emperor, Yun Kaiue would not believe him. He would kill him first. He could tell from the passion in Yun Kaiyue's eyes that he would not stop until he killed Lu Li. Yun Kaiyue would even less value things like using the black tortoise fruit in negotiations. Therefore, after much consideration, there was still only one way to go, and that was to think of a way to kill Yun Kaiyue. Slayer's Ghost Cut, Godly Metal, Strength Attack, Worms of the Void, Rune Dojo, Chi of Chaos. Ideas flashed through Lu Li's mind. When he thought of the Chi of Chaos, his heart suddenly shook. The Chi of Chaos had the power to corrode the source of one's life. If he could mobilize a large amount of Chi of Chaos, he might be able to injure or even kill Yun Kaiyue. To mobilize the Chi of Chaos, I must control the traces of the Great Path. How? It took Lu Li only the time for one breath for hundreds of ideas to come to his mind. Yun Kaiyue had arrived. That bell had turned into a spear. His eyes were as cold as a beast's. The spear trembled, and with a surge of divine might and rays of light, it was aimed at Lu Li's head. Lu Li stood where he was and watched as the spear came closer. Suddenly, his eyes became misty. Yun Kaiyue disappeared in front of him. He felt the entire world had become hazy. In the haze, he could faintly see that the entire world had countless traces of the Great Path. The traces of the Great Path constructed the entire world and supported it. The traces of the Great Path were intertwined in the world. They were connected to each other and reflected off each other, forming a whole. One trace of the Great Path might not be of much use, but when they were intertwined together, they could generate great divine might. They supported the entire world and controlled this space. Hold on, control. His soul trembled again. He murmured. Then, he swung an arm and punched at the spear in front of him. He didn't mobilize the energy in his acupoints. He just punched at the spear directly. Ha! Yun Kaiyue sneered. How could Lu Li fight against his secret treasure with his fist? This secret treasure was called the Cauldron of Thousand Transformations, a replica of a Saint King's divine weapon. After the Saint Origin Palace got it, it had been hundreds of thousands of years. The cauldron was nurtured by many warriors, and its power was growing. Even if Lu Li's body was 10 times stronger, it could still be smashed, let alone Lu Li, who was only at the initial success of the divine iron. Bang! The tip of the spear glowed and landed on Lu Li's fist. As Yun Kaiyue had expected, Lu Li's fist was crushed. Boom, 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 the spear went on. Lu Li's arm was broken bit by bit. If the spear kept going, Lu Li would be minced and turned into a mist of blood. Go to hell. Lu Li seemed to have lost his mind. There was no sign of pain on his face. Instead, he was overjoyed and ferocious. He bellowed with strong, killing intent. Swish, swish, from Lu Li's abdomen, a stream of white air spread out. The air turned into a white flood dragon and entered Yun Kaiyue's body through the spear. This is the Chi of Chaos. As soon as the white air entered Yun Kaiyue's body, it turned into tens of thousands of small dragons. They dashed around, looking for Yun Kaiyue's source of life to destroy. Yun Kaiyue had gone through 3 heavens' tribulations. Naturally, he had experienced the tribulation of chaos. He recognized the Chi of Chaos. His soul trembled in fear, and his eyes were filled with terror. If it were just a little bit of the Chi of Chaos, he wouldn't be worried. He had treasures that could protect him. But this was so much Chi of Chaos. This was hundreds or thousands of times more than what he experienced during the tribulation of chaos. Sensing that more than half of his source of life was destroyed, Yun Kaiyue was terrified. He shouted, "God of Slaughter, stop. Don't kill me. I can give up. No, I will give up." The Chi of Chaos was destroying his source of life too fast. Yun Kaiyue had wanted to talk to Lu Li, but in the end, he shouted, "I give up." Unfortunately, however, it was still too late. His life source was quickly destroyed. That treasure had a spiritual connection with him. The moment Yun Kaiyue died, the treasure stopped attacking. But Lu Li was not well off, either. Not only was his arm crushed, half of his shoulder was crushed. If he had been a little bit slower, his entire body would have turned into a mist of blood. Boom! Chapter 2074. Yin Kaiwe was dead. Luli didn't show any sadness or joy on his face. He had mixed feelings. On one hand, he felt the ease of completing the task, but on the other hand, he felt the pressure. Killing the next master of the Saint Origin Palace was like poking a hole in the sky. What would happen to the Saint Origin Palace in the future? He didn't have the time to think about it. He was weak and could pass out any time. Much of his life source was corroded by the energy of darkness. Half of his body was torn apart, which made him extremely weak. He would pass out soon. Luli made up his mind and flew over. He grabbed the interspatial ring and armor on Yun Kaiue's body, and most importantly, the spear transformed from the Thousand Transformations cauldron. Whoosh! Blood Fairy snuck out and went back into Luli's body. Luli had just put away the treasures when a strong force enveloped Yun Kaiue's body. The body disappeared in front of Luli. Not long afterward, Luli disappeared from the small world as well. He was teleported out. Tens of thousands of people were waiting. Two teams had finished their fights. Inqingxi won without a doubt. Another team had finished. Only Luli, Yun Kaiue, and another team were left. After a flash of white light, Yun Kaiue's body was teleported out first. When Yun Kaiue fell on the plaza, everyone was taken aback. When they saw that it was Yun Kaiue, they were shocked again. When they checked with psychic power and found that Yun Kaiue was dead, they were scared out of their wits. Yun Kaiue was dead. The next master of the Saint Origin Palace was dead. Many people thought that Yun Kaiue might lose. After all, Luli had defeated Mengyun. But no one thought that Yun Kaiue would die. His identity was unusual. It would be fine if he was just a god's son, but Yun Kaiue was the next master. Not only did he represent the dignity of the Saint Origin Palace, but he also represented the future of the Saint Origin Palace. Luli had killed the godson of the Fu family, which enraged the Fu family of the Black Flame Hall. The entire family was sent out to hunt Luli down. Now that Luli had killed Yun Kaiue, how angry would the Saint Origin Palace be? Once the second-ranked force of the 36 great forces was angered, the entire second heaven would tremble. Many young warriors felt a chill run down their spines as they felt an inexplicable fear. The second heaven would be flooded with blood, and millions would be buried under the wrath of the Saint Origin Palace. Hiss, not to mention the others, even Ganlin was scared silly. Ganlin's status was very respectable, but he admitted that he was still very far from Yun Kaiue. He never would have thought that Luli would be so bold, actually daring to kill Yun Kaiue. Inqingxi and Lady Yi were the only ones who didn't show much emotion. Inqingxi stood gracefully, as if Yun Kaiue's death was just a trivial matter. Missy did not panic. Instead, there was a faint smile in her eyes. Axe Demon's eyes revealed a trace of seriousness. If it was any other force, it would have been fine. For example, he wasn't too worried when Luli killed Long Shirtian, but Yun Kaiue was different. He reckoned that Saint Origin Palace would be in a riot this time. The 30-odd elders of Chaos Island also had ugly expressions on their faces. Although Chaos Island's rules stated that life and death were fated, this was the first time in the past 10,000 years that such a prestigious young master had been killed. Young master! A stooped figure flew over and knelt beside Yun Kaiue. His face was filled with shock, and then tears streamed down his face. Killing intent surged from his body as he gnashed his teeth and roared out 4 words, "Hell, slaughter, God." Buzzing with a glare, Luli was teleported out. He became the center of attention. But when many people saw him, they gasped again. Luli was in a miserable state. One of his arms and half of his shoulder were gone. His chi and energy were weak. His face was pale. It seemed that he could pass out at any time. Whoosh! Ganlin rushed over at once and fed Luli some pellets. Luli forced a smile, closed his eyes, and passed out. Take him back. Axe Demon stood up from the grandstand and rushed over. He waved his hand and asked Ganlin to carry Luli back to the yard. Axe Demon and Lady Yi went with him as well. He would not let Luli go back alone. That old slave of Yun Kaiue's looked at Luli as if he wanted to eat Luli alive. Interesting, Inqingxi murmured to herself as she watched Lu Li and the others leave. His style of doing things is just as she said, unruly and fearless. Young master, don't worry. The old slave picked up Yun Kaiyue's body. His eyes turned red. He looked at Lu Li and said, I will take you home now. I will avenge you. Whoosh! The old slave carried Yun Kaiyue and disappeared into the distance. He must be going back to the Saint Origin Island through the space portal. Usually, when something big happened, the plaza would be full of noise and discussion. However, at this moment, the plaza was strangely quiet. Nobody dared to say a word. Many people wanted to leave as soon as possible. Many people came here just to watch the show. But now, they didn't dare to stay. This was no longer a show, but an earth-shattering event. What if powerful warriors of the Saint Origin Palace suddenly came and started a killing spree on the island? By then, they would be buried with Yun Kaiyue. Let's go. Many disciples of small families were scared. They left the plaza quietly and teleported to nearby islands. Onlookers could stay nearby. Soon, this place would become a whirlpool. Axe Demon shared the same concern. He brought Lu Li back to his manor and took out some top-level elixirs to treat Lu Li's wounds. Axe Demon was worried after he made sure that Lu Li would not die. Even though this was the Chaos Island, it wasn't an absolutely safe place. If Yun Kaiyue died, wouldn't Yun Shue and those old bastards of the Saint Origin Palace go crazy? What if all the powerful warriors of the Saint Origin Palace came out in full force? Not even the warriors of the Chaos Island could suppress them. How could he handle it alone? There was also the Dragon Race. If the Saint Origin Palace and the Dragon Race joined hands, it wouldn't be difficult for them to suppress the 36 patriarchs of the Chaos Island. In the past, nobody dared to make trouble on the Chaos Island because they had to be mindful of the other major forces. After all, the Chaos Island was jointly owned by the 36 major forces. It could even be said that all the major forces of the Second Heaven had a share. Nobody wanted to break the rules here. But if the Saint Origin Palace was enraged, the other forces wouldn't get involved. They might just turn a blind eye. As long as the City of Chaos and the secret realm of Chaos weren't destroyed, they wouldn't care. Therefore, the best thing to do now was to bring Lu Li back to the Heavenly Demon Island. As long as Lu Li was there, the Saint Origin Palace would have second thoughts. But Lu Li's body was so weak. His life force had been corroded. He couldn't even take the teleportation formation. If he were to open the domain gate, he would die halfway. I have to send a message to the great Demon King. Axe Demon wandered around the castle and told Lady Yi and Gon Lin, look after him. No one is allowed to come in. I will be back soon. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.